Design roll to the left. Now comes back to the right. Waving receivers around. Nobody open. Running out of time. Finally throws. And it is gone! Touchdown, Daryl Roberts! Taylor. He stopped. Notre Dame wins.
He's going to get 5. Rush only 3. Wants to have all day. Tries to escape. Circle back. Still alive. Loses the football. Ball comes out. It's scooped up by the Ducks. And Tony Washington streaking to the end zone.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I finally figured out, I just realized I don't have to remove us to play that. It just automatically mutes us immediately upon it being played. So it's been literally 9 months since we started this podcast, and I finally figured that out. But welcome to the Week 0 podcast, coming to you live from the basement in Millersville, Maryland. I'm your host, Connor. The Pac-12 is going dark. Doherty, to my left, is Ryan, 0 Dark, 12 Fravel. Below him is our friend Josh, East or Bust. I always forget I don't know why I'm forgetting your last name all of a sudden.
Bryant.
Bryant, Josh Bryant, of course. And below me is Lucas. My favorite hooker is #GoUT. McKnight, which took me a second. I mean, there's 2 UTs. Obviously, it's just like OSU.
I figured it would take. I figured it would take you a second, but we are doing the SEC pod today. So,
but if I say UT, what's the first school that comes to mind?
Oh, Texas for sure.
Texas.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what confused me.
But are they really the real UT?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Tennessee's UT Junior.
just like South Carolina is USC. Is UC Junior, USC Junior.
USC Junior. That's right.
Which is funny because Tennessee, I'm pretty sure, has more championships than Texas does, but
probably. It's actually kind of apt that we're talking about USC, which it's funny that this didn't happen when we had Blake on 2 weeks ago, but the death of the Pac-12 seems imminent at the rate this is going. I couldn't wait to see what our conference realignments were going to look like, but I don't think any of us were ever going to have USC and UCLA in the Big Ten ever, were we?
Definitely not. It's weird because now we're almost turning into an NFL type deal where you have these really, really strange divisions. Like in the NFL, there's some divisions that just don't make any sense whatsoever.
The NFC East with Dallas.
Yeah, you have Dallas, and then they got to play.
When Seattle was in the AFC before the Texans, they were in, I think, either the East or the Central Division in the AFC.
Right.
Seattle. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it was really, really strange, and we're kind of getting to that. But I also think that, I want to say it was last year or 2 years ago when they started talking about the super conferences that were going to happen. I think it was last year.
With Oklahoma and Texas.
It's happening. It's happening. Mm-hmm. We're going to end up seeing either a Power 3 or a Power 2, where it's just going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, and they're going to rule all.
And the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 are just going to be divvied up amongst them. And of course,
I think the Pac-12 is going to be it's either going to – so the Mountain West Conference, I think, is either going to be gone or the Pac-12. One of them is going to be gone. They're going to end up becoming the same thing eventually.
Oh, they'll join together. You have Boise and Wyoming and all those.
San Diego State. Yeah,
those State and the Pac-12. That's the interesting thing, because I saw someone on Twitter is like, how would you divide it up? And it was like pretty much take the Mason-Dixon line, which is actually that's Maryland, Pennsylvania, but drop it a little bit from there. Anything above that, just across the country, and that's the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm like, that's a little too close to the true Civil War right there.
It's the 38th parallel. That's what it is.
It's the American 38th parallel. It's a little too close, but I think that's kind of how it's going to go.
So this is like, I listened to a bunch about this stuff yesterday. It was all over the radio, of course. Busy day in sports. But the three things I don't think people are talking about is, for one, in my opinion, this is really good for USC and UCLA. I mean, hell, they're getting a ton of money to go to the Big Ten. Why wouldn't you do it? But people aren't thinking about, for football, it might be great. But what about the other sports when you've got, say, the baseball team or you got the softball team that have to travel and they play at 9 a.m. Their time, have to go over and travel and play Ohio State in a baseball game.
I believe
it's only football, right?
Yeah, it's only football and basketball, men's basketball.
Okay.
Oh, that's what it is? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
As for now, it may change later, but that's what I've read. As for what it is, I think we're all in agreement. It's going to turn into more of what we see in the pros, much like an AFC and an NFC kind of thing. And it's really – college football is changing, and it feels like it's changing really fast. But it's changing, and it's definitely – in the next 5 years, it's not going to be what we're used to.
Yeah.
And it's go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were done. It's just, I think the Pac-12, is in limbo now, because I posted in our group chat that Oregon and Washington were told by the Big 12 to stand by, or like
they can figure out what's going on with
whatever. Yeah, it's Notre Dame is now the team that is controlling everything. Do they go to the Big Ten? And Big Ten's like, cool, we're done. We don't need Oregon and Washington.
And I will give an update on that, because there's the Pete Sampson of The Athletic that covers Notre Dame specifically, just came out with a thing earlier today saying that Notre Dame is seriously considering joining the Big Ten as early as 2023. But the biggest thing for them is they want to keep.
Would it just be football, or would it be fully?
It would be every sport. It would be every sport for Notre Dame.
So they would just take everything that they have with the ACC and then just add.
Yes, everything would just transfer. The thing with Notre Dame is that they want their NBC deal. They want to keep all their home games on NBC. The
problem is NBC, that deal doesn't end for another 2 years or another 4 years. It doesn't end until 2026.
That's why the Big Ten wants Notre Dame as soon as possible, and they're not going to expand until then.
I feel like with the addition of USC and UCLA to the Big Ten, which is going to happen in 2 years.
So I think it's Oklahoma and Texas, and then USC and UCLA are both going to join the new conferences in 2024, right? Or is Oklahoma, Texas 2025?
Oklahoma, Texas is scheduled for 2025, but it might
push it up.
Yeah.
They probably
the real question is, will Notre Dame walk away from that NBC deal when the money starts flowing in from Fox, from because ESPN's going to come calling for the Big Ten. I know they got to deal with the SEC at the moment, but that's going to be hard to turn down. Ohio State at USC in the Coliseum, that's going to be nuts.
See, and that's the thing is,
I would like to add something here, because the problem with Notre Dame right now is I think that they're really expecting to be very good within the next couple of years, which we all think, Ryan and I are in agreement that they're probably going to be up for, if not winning, a national title within the next 4 to 5 years. But when you look at USC and UCLA right now, both teams are the best they have been in a while, a very long while. And they're joining at the perfect moment. They sign these contracts at the perfect moment to where they're up. Now, if Notre Dame waits too long, and then they start to suck, they may lose that opportunity. So I think it's very, very dumb on Notre Dame's part to not it would be very dumb to not walk away from that NBC money and join a conference to where they can actually compete for national titles regularly, rather than now where it's always a question in our minds. We all think at the end of every single year when Notre Dame is, 10-0, 11-0, or whatever it is, are they good enough to be in the college football playoff? If they are 11-0 in the Big Ten, especially with UCLA and USC joining, then it's no question. We'll never have that question again. So they need to jump on it right now. I think so anyways.
The biggest thing for them, and I guess the ACC has also been they've been on the phone with Notre Dame as well the last couple of days, because they see the writing on the wall. If Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, then it's kind of a wrap for the ACC.
Well,
so the ACC is the difference between the Big Ten and the ACC. The ACC is willing to let Notre Dame keep that NBC deal,
which is what they did in 2020.
Notre Dame does not want to be in the ACC because of the lack of competition that's there besides Clemson, NC State, and Wake. It's a very kind of conference. So Notre Dame's just kind of would we rather just stay independent like we always have, keep our NBC deal? Because the big thing is they go to the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is talking to Notre Dame about, if you come here, we won't give you the NBC deal, but you'll have all big time games on Fox. You'll have the ESPN games. But the thing with Notre Dame is they don't want, when they're playing on the second week of the season, they're playing at Toledo, that it has to be on an ESPN Plus, because that's their thing, is every Notre Dame home game is nationally televised. So that's the thing, is they don't want to join the conference and then have their home games that are against lesser competition not put on the main ESPN or for everybody to watch, because that's their big recruiting thing. Is it doesn't matter if you come to Notre Dame, you could be playing Cupcake State, but you're going to be on NBC. Everybody's going to be able to watch you. That's the thing, is where it's they get better competition, they get money going to the Big Ten, but it's a recruiting thing, because then they probably fall behind Ohio State, Michigan. It's just, that's where it's kind of right now. They're kind of in the middle. They're really seriously considering it, but is it really going to help Notre Dame? How does it benefit Notre Dame?
Well, I think the other thing with the ACC is because they have the agreement with Notre Dame for all the other sports where Notre Dame plays every other sport in the ACC. They've also the ACC kind of has locked itself into a position where it's behind in not just in terms of quality of the teams, but in terms of the money, because the deal that they made with ESPN was signed in 2015, right? And it didn't take over until I think 2018 or 19, and they're locked in until 2035. So a 20-year deal, right? And the money that they're going to be getting from that is going to be, by that time, is going to be a lot less compared to the SEC and the Big Ten if these other schools join. And now the ACC has also introduced their new 3-3-5 schedule, where you have 3 permanent teams that you play, and then you rotate. Now, they've only released the first 4 years, 2023 through 2026. And I think the reasoning for that is, one, they want to see how that works and potentially change the permanent teams, right? To decide, this matchup is not, these matchups haven't been very good, let's kind of change it or go back to some more traditional things. Like they didn't have VT versus Miami, which everyone said was the biggest mistake that they did. But also the other thing is Notre Dame's deal with NBC ends in 2026. So I think they were relying on, hey, maybe Notre Dame comes in at 2026, because they already are kind of a somewhat impromptu member of the ACC. They play 5 teams in the ACC anyway as part of their schedule now, and they have been for the past half decade, if not more. So, now the ACC is affected by that. What does the ACC do?
And that's the thing, is right now the ACC is kind of put in a very tough position, because Notre Dame doesn't need the ACC. It might be the other way around with the Big Ten. Notre Dame may need the Big Ten going forward, but Notre Dame does not need the ACC as much as the ACC needs Notre Dame right now.
I disagree.
I'm saying based because the ACC may not even be a conference anymore in 2026 with all the movement, the rumored about Virginia Tech, Miami, Florida State, and Georgia Tech joining the SEC, like that. The ACC needs to do something now, or else their conference is going to be pulled apart.
The only reason I could see the ACC somehow sticking around, especially for a team like Clemson or Florida State, if Florida State gets back to what it was, is the fact that it's an easier path to get into the playoff, at least right now. If Clemson goes to the SEC, they're third.
But we've seen Oklahoma and Texas.
In the conference.
Oklahoma and Texas are at least 8-win teams every year in the Big 12, and that's an easy path to the playoff. And they left to go to get the SEC because that money. It's the money. It doesn't care if it's the easier way. If Clemson sees that, we're playing the ACC, we're winning the ACC title every year. Why not go to the SEC where we can get twice the amount of money and people won't make fun of our non-conference schedule?
They won't. It doesn't matter because they win national championships. See, that's the big difference. That's the difference there is that Clemson wins national championships. So they're going to remain there, and they're going to hold that conference together. Now, if Clemson falls off the face of the earth, which I don't see, I think we can all agree we don't see Clemson doing that anytime soon. As long as Dabo leaves. Unless Dabo leaves for the NFL or something. I don't think they're going to fall off. So the ACC is going to stay right where it is as long as Clemson does.
Now, what if Clemson
leaves? Then the ACC is done for. It's the difference between the Pac-12. It's the difference between the Pac-12 and the ACC. The Pac-12 didn't have any of those schools where it was like, if they leave, they are done with. So any of these teams could just get up and go, which is now everybody's doing. Like the Pac-12 is completely – it's completely falling apart, whereas the ACC, they still have Clemson. As long as they have Clemson, they're going
the instant anything comes out that Clemson is talking to the SEC or is been kind of confirmed that they are talking, Florida State, Miami, and I don't know if Virginia Tech, but those two schools, maybe NC State would immediately start also reaching out to the.
And that's another
SEC.
thing a lot of people aren't saying is that the thing is the Big Ten, and it's rumored if the Big Ten gets Notre Dame, they're going to pull up to 6 more teams away from the Pac-12. That includes Stanford,
Oregon,
Cal,
Washington,
Stanford, Cal. They really want Stanford in California, so it'd be Stanford.
I agree
Cal,
with
Oregon,
what Big Game Boomer
Washington.
said. With Cal and Stanford just dropping their programs, I could see it 100%.
And the thing
they don't bring in money, and they suck.
That if Notre Dame joins the Big Ten is going to tell Rutgers and Maryland to basically go F off. Because
why would they do that? They still would
because
have New York and the
it's kind of the
SEC
same
market.
thing with the
That's
SEC.
Why they brought them in.
It's rumored the SEC, if they get more members, they're going to kick Vanderbilt out because
that's the only reason they have Vanderbilt is because they have
the Big Ten, the reason they have Rutgers and Maryland and those teams in there is because while Rutgers and Maryland don't have the best football programs, their academics they're called what's called an AAU school, which means they're one of the best academic schools in the country. That's why each conference has those. So, for instance, if the SEC were to get, let's just say like a Clemson or a Virginia Tech, they don't need Vanderbilt because those schools are just as good. At least they're considered AAU schools, which is what conferences want. So they don't need Vanderbilt. But it's quality. It's not while they're still getting the academic side of it.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's also the markets. Rutgers brought the New York Philly market. Maryland brought
and the historic value.
And the historic
value of Rutgers is it's a reference for me. You guys want to understand this as much as I do, but it's like a UFC fighter that we all love losing a bunch of fights in a row, but still pulling a big pay-per-view numbers. It's the same thing. He might be losing these fights. He might not be that good, but we still want to watch him fight every time. And that's kind of like Rutgers, in my opinion.
So Rutgers is the Logan Paul of football. I mean, let's
probably.
Let's kind of just my opinion on the whole ACC thing. While I can touch on it real quick, if Clemson stays in the ACC, and let's say Florida State does not come up. Let's say Miami does not get better. What is the ACC at that point? I hate to say this, it's Pac-12 East.
Probably.
I mean, it's already a weak conference.
With the new schedule, they're going to be eating themselves up, because that's what the biggest problem with the Pac-12 is. They would destroy each other every year, and that would kind of ruin any chances of a playoff emerging.
It doesn't help for recruiting when you've got teams like Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Florida going all over the country for recruits, pulling recruits out of Southern California, out of Washington, all these places. And it's more of a nationwide thing. I feel like the ACC has two options: get better or dissolve. And whether that means bringing Notre Dame in to get better, or Notre Dame hops onto the Big Ten, which I think is a better option for them. It's going to be a mess, and in 5, 6, 7 years, it's going to be a mess.
And I'll say this because I know Luke, because I kind of want to get it. We are getting a little too long into this because we got to talk about the SEC eventually.
Sure.
But
sorry,
you're fine. No, you're fine.
We're the ones that's been talking long.
Yeah,
I think the SEC is the easiest school to go over, anyways, because it's basically Bama over everyone. But so it'll be easy.
Same in Georgia. I think Georgia will be there, but whatever.
We'll burn through
Not
it.
after Oregon beats them week 1. All right, go ahead, Ryan.
But so Lucas, I guess if the Pac-12 is going to survive, you being the Pac-12 guy, what needs to happen for them to survive as a conference? And who do you think they look to add as conference members that you think not only can provide the football aspect of it, but also give them kind of that draw that USC, and it's obviously not going to be the same, but I guess who give me kind of like a top 6 of teams you would look to add to the Pac-12, and then what the Pac-12 needs to do to stay alive?
Well, to me right now, I think the first thing that the Pac-12 needs to do is they need to get in the ears of Boise State, and they need to get into the ears of San Diego State. San Diego State and Boise State have been, throughout the past 20 years, or at least the last 10 years, they have been regularly in the top 25, whereas even UCLA and USC have not been. And you could say it's because of who they play, whatever it may be. But I know that Boise State and UCLA beat a lot of Pac-12 schools. Boise State has a winning record against the Oregon Ducks, so they need to get in their ears immediately. Yeah, the blunt punch, the famous blunt punch. I cried after that game because I thought that the season was over.
But was that
2009?
Yeah.
But then you made the championship game, right?
No, we went to the Rose
Bowl.
That
was the next year, and then you lost to Cam.
Yeah, the next year. You
cried back-to-back years, though.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough because it was like I was so young. So then I was like, it was right when I first started getting into football, and then I was like, why are they losing? And then
We're not supposed to lose?
Yeah, it was like the teams were supposed to be so good, and they were. I mean, really, they were. But I was like, why are we losing? It's weird.
I'm just imagining that skit that scene from Robin Hood Men in Tights, where it's like I lost. Wait, I'm not supposed to lose. Let me see the script. And it's just
exactly. It's weird.
So go ahead,
it was really weird for me, and now I'm just used to it. I think that they have to start speaking to them if Oregon and Washington, because it's not guaranteed yet. It's still very up in the air. And I think the Big Ten might not even take Oregon and Washington at this moment because they're in such heavy talks with Notre Dame, like really trying to get Notre Dame in there. So they're kind of putting us to the side. I think from an Oregon fan, I want to stay in the Pac-12, at least for now, especially if they can get a Boise State and a San Diego State. I'm perfectly fine with having an easier path to the college football playoff.
But
I know what kind of players. It's the same thing as Notre Dame. I know what kind of players the Oregon is going to bring in. So even if we're beating up on a bunch of scrubs, the same thing as Clemson when they won national titles, beating up on a bunch of scrubs every single year, and still going to the title and being able to compete with a Bama or these really good teams. So I'm perfectly fine with it, but I don't think we can go back to the Pac-10. Like, I don't think we can go back to 10 teams. We need to stick at 12. I think 12 is the perfect number.
But what if Boise State and San Diego State, for whatever reason, because I know that Boise State's been offered to go to the Pac-12 a couple times and they denied it.
Mm-hmm.
If for whatever reason Boise State says no, we're good staying in the MAC and being that MAC or not MAC, the Mountain West Conference every year, being the champions of that conference every year, who else do you look to besides Boise State and San Diego State? If those two don't want to, do you bring in a Fresno? Because Fresno State's been really good.
I could say a Fresno, and I could also say probably a Utah State. I think Utah State would be a solid team that we could bring in. Maybe build up that rivalry a little bit more between Utah and Utah State because it's been abysmal the past couple of years.
My immediate thought would have been, if not for them joining the Big 12, I would have said BYU. But that's
I like a BYU too. I also don't mind. I also don't mind in Eastern Washington.
Lyle.
Lyle. They've been good for so many years, and if they, I think they could make a move up if they truly wanted to. They're a big enough school. I mean, it's a big freaking school. I don't know why it's not D1 anyways.
Do you think that Utah and Oregon have to stay in the Pac-12 for them to stay alive?
No.
Probably.
No. You don't think that if Oregon were to jump ship and Utah,
they're both. Well, I don't think. Well, okay, I'll put it this way. I think Oregon is a big enough brand to be able to survive and play well in the Big Ten. I do not think that Utah is.
Okay.
They have a really good team. They were really good last year. They've had a couple really good teams, but they just don't have the brand to be able to survive.
I mean, they have the Salt Lake City market, but that's about it. I mean,
yeah, but it's not that big of a market. I mean, the Jazz, they're terrible. Like, they're a terrible market. So it's like, it's that the whole Utah as a state, the market just isn't very good. Oregon has really built their brand over the last 10, 15 years. So it's I think they would survive. And I mean, we saw, them play against Ohio State last year. We've seen Oregon play against Big Ten teams and do really well, beating Michigan, beating Nebraska, teams like that. So I think they would survive. Maybe not competing for a conference championship every single year like they are now, but I think it would. I think they would definitely prosper. I'm not sure that Utah would, though.
Okay.
I don't think UCLA is going to be able to survive. I really don't. I think they're going to get murdered every year. They're going to be like a Nebraska where they're losing, 6 to 8 games every single season because they can't compete with these Ohio States and these Michigans and Michigan State and stuff like that.
So 2 questions, and then we can go ahead and move on to the SEC breakdown. And this is for all of you guys. So the first question is, do you guys think when it comes to Notre Dame joining the Big Ten, do you think that first game, week 1 against Ohio State, and depending on how that game goes for Notre Dame, do you think that impacts their decision at all in joining the Big Ten?
They'll have made the decision before that.
It shouldn't.
They'll have already made the decision probably before then anyway.
Okay.
And I don't think
at that point it won't matter. It won't matter by the time the season started because we already know what they're going to do.
And then
I don't think it'll matter. So I don't think it'll matter anyways, just because this isn't Freeman's team. 2023 will be Freeman's team. This is still BK's recruiting from the 2022 class. So I think that it'll be like a, kind of a giveaway year. They're not going to pay attention too much to this season for Notre Dame.
Josh, why are you shaking your head?
It doesn't matter who's. I just. And Ohio State's going to drop 55 on them. Let's be honest. Can Notre Dame keep up? They're not gonna this year.
Hey, you know
They're
what?
not gonna
Notre
next year.
Dame can keep it within 14. I'll give them
If
Hey, they
that.
lost
if
their
keep
best
it within
chance, dude.
14, it's a good game. Honestly, it shouldn't affect any decision on whether they join the Big Ten, anyways, because everyone else in the Big Ten plays second fiddle to Ohio State right now.
No,
I
I wasn't
said
meaning
it during
that.
our-
I
I said it
wasn't
during
meaning. I
our Big
wasn't
Ten.
meaning whether they win or lose. I was meaning kind of more like the viewership and the money and all that.
Oh,
type
the
of stuff.
viewership's going to be there anyways. You know how.
Oh yeah, it will.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But
And-
the second
and
question,
top
and then we
10
can go ahead and
top
move
5
into the SEC. How many different uniforms do you guys think the Oregon Ducks presidents are going to be wearing going into the Big Ten office, begging to be in the Big Ten?
They're going to be 10
Seven-
different
Well,
guys
First
with
of
10
all,
different suits on.
they're not going to be begging to be in anything. You notice how USC and UCLA couldn't win a Pac-12 title, so they jumped ship. These guys are trash. Oregon and Washington only did it because they know that the Pac-12 are imploding, but they both won Pac-12 titles, so they're not worried about it. It's so funny.
I guess you could say, notice how the best teams in the Pac-12 don't want to jump ship to the Big Ten.
Okay, Finally we get to it 31 minutes later on the SEC show.
We had
talked
big
too much
news. It's
about
okay.
We talked
That's
about
okay. It
every
was wild news.
we literally
for sure.
only talked about every other conference except really the Big 12 because they don't matter anymore. They're dead.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny. No one's been
talking.
talking about how this impacts them. It's all the Big 10, the ACC, and the Pac-12. That's how.
Well,
it's
because
supposed to
the
be
Big 12, I mean, they've already kind of figured themselves out with Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, and I'm just looking forward to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to Cincinnati dominating the Big 12 for the next couple of years.
Starting off with our SEC talk, can we talk about let's talk about Josh, right? Yeah. I keep forgetting your name for some
Okay.
reason.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
right.
come on, I'm in the comments
Let's
section.
talk
Okay,
about
okay,
Josh.
okay.
No, let's talk about Josh's favorite team, the Florida Gators, and how old Billy is completely destroying that program.
Okay.
Absolutely
Billy
destroying that
Napier?
program.
Okay.
What's Billy
Yes.
Napier? Wait, what's going
Yeah.
on?
Yes.
He's already
Didn't you
had
hear
to
it?
write a letter.
They're
to
falling
the fans
apart.
that They haven't played a game yet.
Wait, what has he done? Oh, I can't
They've
wait.
lost
Wait,
so
he's not-
many recruits.
He's
Every
not
let me-
recruited,
Let
but
me
it's
go
his
ahead and
first
say this.
year.
The Florida fans are already calling for Billy Napier's job because he hasn't been able to recruit. I don't even think their class is top 30 in the nation. And
But it's just
he had to, because he got so much hate from the fans, he had to go on his official Twitter and release a statement to the fans saying, "Hey, I just got here. I had to blow some things up. The recruiting will come with time. I haven't even coached a game yet. Can we calm down?" So he's already on the hot seat and hasn't even coached a fall practice yet.
welcome to the SEC, Billy. Really though, and I'll get into this a little bit later. There's expectations in the SEC, and it is like a meat grinder for college coaches. It really is. If you don't come here and succeed year 1, year 2, you're not going to play in the SEC.
We've
You're
seen
not
it with-
going to coach in the SEC.
We've seen it with that
it's
Orgeron.
ridiculous.
With Orgeron won a natty, and he was
Won a
gone 2
national
years later.
championship. 2 years later, they're calling for his job. I'm telling you guys, it is rough down here. It is insane.
You know what? And I will say this: you can give props to Kentucky because they give Mark Stoops all the time in the world because at least he's got you guys relevant.
Look. When you bring a new coach in, and your last coach went 2-10, and then your new coach comes in and goes 2-10, and then 4-6, and then 7-5, and then 6-6, 7-5, 8-9. We're winning 9-10 games a year now. It's insane. And I don't know if you guys knew, Kentucky actually had to redo their entire football facilities at the request of Stoops. And it was just for recruiting. They said we cannot recruit players when we have facilities.
That was the first time. That was the first time they touched their football facilities in about 50 years, probably.
That was the first time that those boosters had to cut a check and put Kentucky football at the bottom. It was not.
It was
We're
they,
putting
they were so used to writing Kentucky basketball that it's written in that like
They had to cross
you
out the
scrub
basketball part. Yeah.
yeah no you put a blank piece of paper over and you scrub it over. You
No,
just
I just
outline
don't think the
basketball
Kentucky.
shows up.
I don't think the Kentucky Boosters knew their school had a football team.
Oh, probably not. Probably not.
So okay, so we're gonna go. So going over the worst team.
I
Vanderbilt.
think we can all say
I'll
The
take this
Vanderbilt
over.
Commodores.
So we're not gonna. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. What I want to do though is like leave out Vanderbilt because they're the easy option.
Okay.
So let's leave out
Well,
Vanderbilt.
it's the automatic. It's the automatic option. I mean,
Yeah.
Mark Lee.
let me. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's pull up some schedules.
So
Wait.
I think
We need to go over Vanderbilt's schedule. Can we just see if they can even win
Yes.
their FCS game?
Yes.
Well, we'll
I will
find
do that.
one win in there, and it'll be against the Duke Blue Devils, which is actually surprisingly
No,
the
here you
worst
go.
football team in
Wait,
college
that's
football,
2021.
not in Vanderbilt.
They get
Elon
Wait,
Phoenix.
Elon. They play at Hawaii. Elon. Then they get Wake at home. NIU. At Bama. Oh God.
Dude,
No
that
way.
LSU, at Georgia. At Missouri. South Carolina at home. At
Oh
Kentucky.
God,
Oh dear God.
are they going to beat the mighty NIU Huskies?
I think they go.
No.
I think they go 1-11.
Elon? No. They lose to Elon and beat NIU.
Wait, you think
somehow
they
beat
lose to the
NIU.
Hawaii Rainbow Warriors?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's also that's in Hawaii. That's a 12-hour flight.
Oh God,
No,
So
there's
I-
no home field advantage at Vanderbilt. I promise.
what's the
Every time they
spread?
play someone at home, the other team has more
Okay.
pay.
Okay. Wait.
What's this? Wait, I got to wait. Hold on. What's the spread for the Elon Phoenix game? Like, what are we giving them? Like, are we giving them a 3-point lead because it's at home, or like, what are we doing there?
I think it's Vanderbilt +3.
Oh my God,
Do they not have it?
They not even have odds.
That'll definitely be a $10 game.
No, this is our $1 game. This is gonna be the $1 game of the week that we have. Remember? That'll be the. Okay, my
Oh,
computer's being
God.
really slow. I'm sorry.
Wait, can you look up what their record was
14-7 is the protected score. Is the projected score.
Oh, with Vanderbilt winning?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So they have them. So they have them as a
Probably a
6
half-
point.
Probably 6-point favorite. Wow.
Oh man.
But okay,
Wow.
so
Wow.
other than Vanderbilt, I'll go first. Yeah, just leave this up so we can look over. I'm gonna have to
Missouri.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be hard. I mean, it's really funny, but it's after everything that's happening, it's gonna be really hard for me to not say Florida.
No,
You-
Missouri.
I don't know,
Missouri-
I
man.
don't know. I like
State.
Connor Bazelak. I like Bazelak, and they went 7-6 last year.
6 and 7.
Bazelak's
But-
not
Oh,
the
they lost?
quarterback anymore.
He's not. I
No.
thought he was.
No, he's not there anymore.
But think about
They're-
this though with Florida, right? They went down to the wire with
Alabama.
that one school that was terrible. Shoot.
Sanford. It's like
Sanford, yes.
Sanford.
They went down to the wire with those guys.
They were
and
down by
actually
2 touchdowns at halftime.
They
And
almost
they actually
didn't
had
make a bowl game.
decent team. They almost didn't make a bowl game. They actually had a decent team that year too. With everything that's happening, they lost. They lost quite literally the player that everybody thought was going to be their best player next year, which is that 5-star transfer running back from Clemson. He transferred again. I don't know where he's going, but I think that they are going to have the worst record. And I mean, they even last year, other than Vanderbilt, they were the second worst team in the SEC. So I could see it happening again. Maybe even worse. Maybe like a 4-8.
By the
Florida?
way, I just
Florida?
wanted to put that out there.
I could definitely see Florida starting 0-2 and maybe 1-3 in their first 4 games.
Elon, I will say this: Elon, the Phoenix, they went 6-5 last year. So
Oh, they made a bowl.
Yeah, that's already
They were
more
bowl
wins.
eligible.
They're an FCS school, so they made the
Yeah.
tournament.
They get 3 straight games at home: Utah, Kentucky, and then USF.
Oh my God, they're
I
gonna lose. My boy Gary Bohannon is gonna be playing the Florida Gators. That's
Dude,
already
I don't
hell.
think they
Hey,
win
here's
a
our-
game.
Here's Eastern Washington.
I don't think they win a game until maybe the Missouri game.
You think they
Oh,
lose
Do
to
you think
Eastern
they lose to
Washington?
Eastern Washington?
Oh, I
Yes.
like it.
You have them losing
Okay.
to USF. I like it. Lucas.
I like
the
it.
mighty Gary Bohannon.
Ooh.
I think they could quite literally. I think that Utah is going to put up a 60 bomb on them for one.
Here's what I think is gonna happen.
guys, wait. Kentucky, Florida plays 1, 2. They play 3 true road games, or no, 4. Excuse me. They play 4 true road games.
The rest are
Yeah,
in
one's a
Florida.
neutral site.
That's neutral site. Home 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home games. They have 4 road games and 1 neutral site. That's
I don't think it's going to matter.
Well,
I could see.
actually, look at that. It's also the backstretch is no home.
They'll
games
beat
pretty
Florida
much.
State. They'll beat Florida State because it's Florida
Probably.
State.
I think they go 4-8. I think they beat.
Eastern Washington.
I gotta say they lose to.
So,
they beat.
Okay,
I think they beat
so you're
Eastern
saying-
Washington.
We are forgetting.
Okay.
We are forgetting that their quarterback is AR-15. It was actually pretty decent.
Don't care.
Anthony
He's
Richardson.
terrible.
Yeah, he is pretty.
I could
good.
care less. Florida
He's
fans.
like
Florida
a
fans
spicy
were-
Felipe Franks. Like,
Florida fans
Yeah.
were had a major love-hate relationship with him last year. All I had to do to confirm that was watch Scooter Magruder literally having
They wanted
aneurysm
what was his
every
name?
week.
The guy who transferred.
Emory
to Oregon
Jones.
State. They
Emory
wanted
Jones.
Emory Jones's job, and they gave it to Anthony Richardson. His
Well-
first start came against LSU, and he played good. He had 4
And
touchdowns.
they went
then
back and
3
forth though
interceptions.
through the rest of the year. It was like, who's going to be the starter? We
Okay.
don't know. We still
well,
suck.
it's
Okay,
because
L.
So this is my team here that I think is going to be the worst. So I see them losing their first 4. I see them
Yeah,
winning 2
losing to
straight.
USF. I like it.
Yeah, because I do think Bohannon's a good quarterback. I think USF actually is going to have a decent team. So I see them winning 2 straight. Close game against Eastern.
What's the over under?
I don't know what it is, but if I had to guess,
No, I'm
if
saying
I
what
went
was
into
your-
it, if
would
I
your
went
betting
into
be?
it, I would say I would give Florida
6 points?
8
10?
points. I'll give
Oh,
them 8
8, okay.
points.
I think
I see him winning 2. I see him beating LSU. No, losing to LSU. I mean, because I think JT Daniels or
The fighting
Jaden
Brian
Daniels
Kelly's actually
decent.
beat Florida. Wow.
Well, yeah, because they have Jaden Daniels, a lot of experience. I think they end up beating him. Obviously, they're going to get slaughtered by Georgia. Probably going to get slaughtered by A&M. Close game with South Carolina. Just depends on how good Rattler's going to be.
With how Rattler is.
Let's
it'll
see
be a
how
close
Rattler
game.
is.
But I do think they win their last 2 games. I think it'll be a close one with Florida State, but I think they'll end up beating Florida State. So
I
4
Think about it.
8
They
is
beat
how I
Florida
have it.
State last year, and they were garbage.
I
Like,
can
I
see
can-
6
They
and
shouldn't
6.
have though, because the dude
Yeah,
freaking
I
whiffed
see.
on
dude,
that
onside
kick.
kick. He completely
I see.
whiffed.
Josh,
Yeah, I see 6 and 6. I agree, Connor. Just
I
because,
think these final 3 they could win.
and here's the thing: if they lose to UCF, Billy Napier is not getting back on that bus. Like
Oh, no.
if they
Yeah.
they go 0-3, Billy Napier has no job. Like he
He can
needs
go
to be
back to
looking for a different
Louisiana.
place because they're not going to accept it down there.
He'll
And
go
that's-
back to the
He's
Gators.
going to be Lane Kiffin left on the tarmac.
Think about this. Think about
Yeah.
this though. Going into October 22nd, their off day, right? If they are 3 and 4, do you think he still has a job? Going
If they're
into the
3 and 4,
Okay.
how delusional Florida fans are and where their expectation is versus where their recruiting has been for the past 5 years, I really think that they're going to be calling for his job, and it's not fair because it's not his recruits. It's really kind of him just opening up his book, and we're just now getting started. But that's the expectation down there.
Weren't they pretty patient with Jim McElwain though? And he was
Yeah.
god awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at that, Kentucky.
Wait,
the first
so
thing that
Billy
pops
Napier-
up is Wildcats football.
My
Well,
question
their
is,
basketball team has become irrelevant. The last
A
couple
little
years.
bit.
A little bit. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at Josh. Okay, Josh, we're gonna go through this. You get Miami. You're at Florida. Youngstown State.
You
the
play the
Penguins.
Penguins?
The mighty
No.
Penguins. You get
Yep.
NIU as well. You're at Ole Miss, South Carolina. You get Mississippi State, at Tennessee, at Missouri, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Louisville.
Okay, so I'll go first. I want to go first because I love
Yep.
Kentucky. Kentucky is like my sleeper for this year. So give me 4-0 going into that Ole Miss game. That Ole Miss game with Jackson Dart as their quarterback and Lane Kiffin still there, that could be a scary good game. I actually could be like a top 15 game and maybe be like a sleeper for like game day or something. I think Kentucky pulls it off because I think Will Levis is just better than Jackson Dart. Then South Carolina, easy W. Mississippi State could be a sneaky game because Mississippi State always wins one that they shouldn't. But I think they win that game. So there'll be 7-0 going at Tennessee. That Tennessee game will be nuts. I think you lose it just because it's at Tennessee.
And we've always found a way to lose to Tennessee.
Yes. If it was at home at Kroger Field, as we always say, you guys would win that game. Missouri, W. Vanderbilt, W. So you're like, what? So 9-1 at that point?
We've lost one game, and we're playing Georgia for the SEC East.
Yep.
And we get them at home.
So I think you guys beat Georgia because I think Stetson Bennett.
I think that would be
Let's go.
the most monstrous season for Kentucky football I've ever seen in my life.
But I will say, so you guys go ahead and you go 11-1 into the Louisville game, or 10-1 in the Louisville game.
And
I could see Louisville just.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there, Chief. Last 3 times we played Louisville, we have outscored them 155-27.
I know, but it's a rivalry.
We
game.
have beaten the brakes off of Louisville, and we get them at home.
This
and
is
let
my
me tell you, okay, go ahead. Finish.
This is my only reasoning. It's a rivalry game, and I know how heated that game gets because I'm from Kentucky, so I know how that gets when they play football. I'm just saying, Malik Cunningham is a guy who he's kind of a wild card. Louisville might have a down year that year, but he's just one of those players that can win them a game that they have no business even being competitive in.
Okay.
I'm not saying you guys lose it, but I think it's going to be closer than the experts think.
Okay, right. Okay, I got 4-0 going into Ole Miss. I see that for now as a loss. They win the next 2, so 6-1, so 1 off. They lose Tennessee, and they lose to Georgia. And then they beat Louisville. I have 9-3.
Okay,
I got liking them as much as I am.
I got 10-2. I got 10-2, and for the obvious, Georgia and Tennessee are their only ones.
All right. Let me go down and give mine. So Miami of Ohio, that's a win. I'm going to be there for that one. Then next,
great choice.
That'll be one of those drunk by halftime games.
They don't sell beer in the stadium, so
really?
Kroger
Field,
really? Yes, really. Yeah,
dude. I only ever knew Kroger. There was 2 Krogers at Virginia Tech. There was one that we called Gucci Kroger, and there was one that's called Ghetto Kroger. And you always went to Ghetto Kroger for all the booze and liquor.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me that at Neyland Stadium they can get like completely wasted and throw golf balls at coaches, but you can't get wasted at Kroger Field?
And mustard.
It's actually worse than that, guys. So they don't sell beer to the regular folk who don't buy box seats. You buy boxes.
Is Kentucky like a Catholic school?
No.
Like why do they do? Is there some sort of?
It's probably because
it's
public intoxication law.
Lucas, if you were from Kentucky, you would understand probably why they don't want intoxicated people.
It's an SEC rule.
You haven't been You haven't been to Research Stadium in Corvallis. I'll just tell you that right now.
Okay. All right.
That place is, if somebody isn't getting carried out by cops, then they fail. It's ridiculous.
So let me finish up here. I got them 4-0 going into the Ole Miss game. I really need to know how Jackson Dart's going to be at that point. I believe Ole Miss has cupcakes in front of them before they get to us in their schedule. So I think we're probably gonna get their best. I don't know if offensively we'll be able to keep up if Jackson Dart is as good as people say he is. But anyways, so that's a toss up, but I'm gonna go on the win side there.
Win side there.
Then the win side there. Basically, I see our first loss at Tennessee. The whole Mississippi State
Me
thing,
too.
something you need to know about it. We trade games with Mississippi State. It's always home and home. Like they're our rival, but we always win at home. That's how it's been the past 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably lose to Tennessee because we always find a way to lose to Tennessee. Then we're going to get Missouri.
In a way that leaves you in the pain with pain. In the
Wait.
You ride the ball.
It's going to be an inch short, and that's what's going to lose us the game.
Over under on that Tennessee game. Over under on how many ketchup,
How many
mustard,
points?
and golf balls get thrown.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. If we win,
Wait, was that from that game? Was that from
They
the
don't
Kentucky
hate.
game?
No.
They don't hate
That was
Kentucky's
the,
coach. They hate Kiffin. They only did that because they
was the
hate
Ole Miss.
Kiffin.
Yeah, that was the Ole Miss Tennessee game where Tennessee thought
right.
we're screwed over. But probably 2 or 3 mustard bottles, half a dozen or so golf balls. If we end up pulling that off, I don't think we will. So right now, I've got us at 10-2. Well, 7-1. But at the end of everything, 10-2, losing to Tennessee and Georgia, and then miraculously still being second in the East.
So you guys are really still high on that Georgia team, even though they basically lost their entire national championship team.
Here's why.
Georgia's
Because
a mountain.
they're gonna
Stetson
lose to
Price
Oregon.
Bennett is still throwing the ball.
They're not
They're
losing to Oregon. They're
listen,
basically playing
though.
a home game, dude.
Listen, they're gonna lose to Oregon week 1, just
How
the
many-
same
wait.
way that Ohio State did.
How many interceptions?
I'm
How
sorry.
many interceptions Stetson Bennett throwing in that Oregon game?
Okay. Let me talk. They're going to lose to Oregon the same way that Ohio State did, and then the same way that Ohio State did it, they dominated everybody until they played their rivals. It's the same thing that's going to happen to Georgia, I guarantee.
You don't think that the Sanford Bulldogs can put up 60 points like they did on Florida last year?
I mean, look how close the names are. Sanford playing in Sanford Stadium. Look at that. So close.
That's their stadium. It's their
It's
stadium.
their own.
And also,
yeah,
Oregon beat Ohio State at Ohio State last year, so I'm not worried.
I'm taking Georgia. It's a neutral site, but I don't know.
So let's go ahead and get to our best teams. Who's the best team? Like the top 2 teams in each.
Wait, we didn't look at this is
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss going into Kentucky.
Watch out for that
Oh,
Troy
yeah,
game.
dude,
That Troy game.
cupcakes.
The Troy
No.
game could be a sneaky one.
Don't.
Ole Miss
Stop.
should be 4-0 going into that game against Kentucky.
You don't think the mighty Yellow
Or they could
Jackets
have a
of
close game
Georgia
against
Tech?
Tulsa like old Notre Dame.
And then that's
What do you mean,
That's
old
oh my
Notre
god!
Dame?
Look at this. Look at this rough Auburn, Tech or LSU, Texas
It's
A&M,
the West.
Utah, Bama, and Arkansas.
Oh,
It's
God.
the West.
Oh my god!
I got Georgia
Yeah.
having at least 3 losses on that schedule.
Look, the real
I'm just saying.
wonder, no matter how good Texas A&M is, because they play in the West, they're going to be 8-4.
See, and
Yeah,
people,
pretty
Josh, think about it. You guys could still lose to Georgia and Tennessee. If you guys lose to them, you go 10-2. If Georgia loses 3 games or Tennessee loses 3 games, you're still in.
Dude, this is Georgia's schedule.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
go to
They're
Georgia's
not
schedule.
losing 3 games. Stop.
If
it.
they lose to Oregon,
if
at 10 or they play Tennessee.
I don't see it. They get Tennessee at home.
Dude,
I
they
still
have the
think
easiest
Tennessee-
schedule in the SEC. Look at that schedule right now.
It rotates.
Look at the bottom.
Yeah.
Their
I thought-
toughest game is against Oregon.
Oh wait, I thought that was the other one with Bama and Arkansas. That's
No.
what I
No,
said.
that was
No,
that was
no,
Ole
no,
Miss.
that's-
That was
I was
Ole
gonna
Miss.
That's Ole
say-
Miss.
This is the easiest schedule in the SEC by
Why
far.
did they get the easy schedule if they literally were the best team in the conference last year?
It's the East, and they technically weren't the best team in the conference. They lost the conference championship.
Oh yeah, to Alabama.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
Bama
Oh,
even has a tougher
here we
schedule.
go. Here's
Austin.
Austin P, the Governors. Here's Bama just like F. I was about to swear. F
Austin
it.
P.
F
Why
it,
does
we're just gonna
Bama
play
get three? Why does Bama get 3 easy games right off the bat?
Okay. Yeah,
That's
right.
where we put our
Bama-
downfalls, and we like to.
No,
We
they
like to
get
have
4.
scrimmages.
Look, they get 4. They get Vanderbilt.
Okay, but realistically though, this is a million times tougher schedule than Georgia has.
It is.
Oh,
It is
really?
pretty tough. But I
Oh
will say
really?
this.
Yes, really. Utah State
They're-
is not a terrible team.
They're gonna
Texas
get
is
five-
not a
they're gonna get
terrible
60
team.
ball.
Okay.
Everybody on that
ULM
team
is
getting-
not a terrible team.
They play
Arkansas.
They get tennis. They get Texas A&M. They
Lucas,
play at
everybody on
LSU,
that the
at
first
Ole
4
Miss.
games. I'm gonna tell you right now, those first 4 games, Bryce Young is gonna have like 7 touchdown passes every single game, except maybe Texas.
He'll
After
have
those
5.
first
No.
4 games, Alabama will have the highest scoring offense in college football for the first 4 weeks. I
No.
guarantee it.
No.
I
No.
guarantee it.
Uh-uh.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
that will be Ohio
Crazy.
State.
Oh.
Okay,
I think
so.
yeah,
Is it
that's
whoops.
wild.
So it's Georgia and Bama that's going to come down to is it going to be a
You
rematch
guys
of
have
this
Georgia and
championship?
Bama. I have Kentucky winning the East.
Mm-mm.
I have Kentucky
Tennessee
winning.
winning the East.
But
I
is
told
it
Josh
because
this.
Kentucky is the better team, or is it because Georgia slips up?
I think Kentucky is just a really good team. I don't understand why they're getting so slept on. They have one of the maybe the best running back in the country, and
What?
Chris
let me,
Rodriguez Jr.
let me
And
pop in on that. He's going to be suspended for at least a couple games.
for what?
Ooh.
He got a DUI this summer.
Oh, good. Well, is it early? Going to be early in the season?
It is. It should be early in the season. It could be 2, could be 5.
Okay, it doesn't matter. He's going to come back and run all over people.
I will
when he
say
gets
it
back.
doesn't matter because we got. Who did we get?
You got 4 weeks until Ole Miss, so I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, even then, we still have Cavassier Smoke, which is one of the best names in college football. Like,
and Will Levis.
Smoke Monday.
People are sleeping on Will Levis. Like this.
No, they
dude-
aren't.
I don't
No,
think
they're
they are.
not. They
No,
think he's going to be a
They're
top
saying
2
that
pick.
he's going to be a number 1.
I
draft
know,
pick.
but like, I watched that. Like we talked about it on the show. I watched that game, Kentucky versus Georgia last year. Will Levis had actually a pretty decent game against the best defense in college football.
Didn't
And
they
he didn't-
end up
there were
losing by
2
like
play-
21?
I'm saying there were 2
Yes.
plays. It was competitive. Josh, you watched the game. It was
Which,
competitive in that
against
first
Georgia,
half. Yes,
it was competitive until halftime.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
saying,
it
but
was.
how were there not 2 plays? before
Wasn't
halftime?
Chattanooga beating Alabama at like halftime one time?
Yeah. No, they were down 17 to 3.
If we're gonna
But-
do,
No,
if
they
we're
were
gonna
up
do
3-0
the
at the end
Alabama
of the
one
first
time,
quarter.
we're gonna say Louisiana Lafayette beat Alabama.
If we're gonna do
At
up at
one time.
halftime, wasn't Notre Dame up 28-7 on Oklahoma State at halftime at one point?
Yeah, and you
How did that work out? No.
But no,
But-
I'm saying, Josh, you can test this. In that Georgia game, there were 2 dropped touchdown passes in the end zone before halftime.
Before halftime, that's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. There
and
easily
then-
could have been that game could have easily been 21-21 going into halftime. Easy.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But we did get,
Idiots, dude.
and people are asking, because we lost Robinson. Like he's gone. He's not our receiver anymore. He's moved on to greener pastures in the NFL.
Mhm.
And who's Levis going to throw to?
How do I?
It's Robinson again, only a different one. It's Tavion Robinson from Virginia Tech. He transferred down. So, which I believe he was the number 1 receiver at Virginia Tech, wasn't he? Number 2? Gotcha.
Behind Trey.
Behind Big.
Oh,
Big
yeah, that's
Play
right.
Trey, who even
So
ironically, his name that nickname was more ironic than anything, because he never had 1,000 yards receiving, but he would have a big play every once in a while, but he never actually was allowed.
he also didn't get like the hooker from last year. Like if he had Hendon Hooker from last year as his quarterback, he would had 1,000.
Oh, if they had,
I think
If
Hendon
BT
Hooker-
had the Hendon Hooker from last year, we would have probably
they win
won
9 games last year, or probably 10.
9 games or something, probably.
All
So
right,
if we're
let's-
going off of, so I
move on.
really do want to be like, oh, Kentucky this, Kentucky that, but I think they're gonna end up ending. I did say 10-2, but third in the East, in my opinion. I honestly am on the Tennessee train, and I
am
think
too.
that
See, Lucas,
I think
am
that
too.
they run the table and they win that East. I think Georgia ends up second in the East just because of their win over Kentucky at the end of the season.
Lucas, could you see Kentucky finishing at least second? Is that a
No,
possibility?
I said I think that, well, it's a possibility, yeah, but I think they
but he
could.
doesn't
I
think so.
think they're going to be third. Still a 10-2 season. You're probably going to get into a very good bowl game at 10-2.
Probably New
But-
Year's 6, maybe. If you're
Probably
lucky.
not. Third in
No.
the East, no.
There's
probably
too many
not.
good,
But
too many good
a
SEC
good-
teams.
a good bowl game and a good win in a bowl game will help recruiting a lot. I just think that Tennessee's going to win the East, and I think it's that's how I see it.
Okay.
I still think
So,
Bama
what
runs
do you-
the SEC.
What do you think about this? So you got Bama and Tennessee in the
yeah,
SEC championship?
and then
Okay.
Bama winning that.
By how much?
Probably a
20.
closer game, but still maybe like a 14 to
Is it like one of
17
those
point.
games where like it's close at halftime and then Bama pulls away
Probably.
in like the fourth quarter or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I think I could see for sure.
Okay. So what do you got, Connor? Who do you think is your SEC title matchup?
For now, Bama and Georgia, I think it's going to be chalk.
Okay.
And I'll go with Bama for now. I think Georgia, it's just unknown with the defense and how Stetson Bennett will do as a repeat. But for now, I think it'll be chalk for that.
Okay, what
Yeah,
about you, Josh?
Bama's never not gonna be there, pretty much.
Okay. I think there are some Frankenstein scenarios that can happen this season. If it's as crazy as last season, I don't think it will be. I think we're going to have Alabama, Georgia in the championship again. As much as I want Kentucky to beat out Georgia for that spot, I don't think it's going to happen. Is that the next step for the program? Sure. But, what else could I possibly see? A&M, if they manage to not lose 4 games, maybe 1 or 2, A&M and Georgia, or just
Did they
any
get-
combination of those.
As long as
They
we
got
if we don't see that if
Max Johnson, or who did they get? Who was their
Who?
quarterback that they got
A&M?
transferred?
A&M.
Well, I mean, they. I
Yeah,
don't
because
remember
Calzada
the transfer.
left, and then they got somebody.
Wait,
from
Calzada
somewhere.
left?
Yes,
Did
I
he?
thought he was still there.
I thought it was the other guy too.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty
Um,
positive he's gone.
But I will say this: if we get to A&M that doesn't struggle to beat Colorado State or Colorado,
Their
whichever
quarterback
game
got injured.
it was still
That same
17-9.
A&M beat Alabama.
It was 17-9. Like, come on.
Their quarter- okay.
Yes, that's right. So Max Johnson is going to be competing with Haynes King, which
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty
I
sure
forgot about
Haynes.
Haynes King.
That's the
I'm pretty sure
Lucas,
Haynes King was the guy that got hurt.
you were high
Yeah.
on him early in the season, Lucas, last year.
And honestly, I
Yeah, he
think
was
both
all
of
right.
them
I think
could do
Max Johnson is better though.
it. I think both of them.
Is that
could do
is
it.
that
I
the
think
Max
A&M
Johnson
goes
from
into-
LSU?
Max
the-
Johnson's
he's-
from LSU.
He's the
He's
lefty
a
from
lefty.
LSU.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and I think Kentucky or Tennessee wins the East this year. I think it's kind of one of those years where Georgia's just they've lost so much that I think they're still going to be a top 20 team, but I just don't think that they're at the level where they were last year, and I don't think that people forget that Georgia was really good a couple years before they won the Natty, but they were still like a 9-3 or a 10-2 type team on a year-to-year basis. They had a couple 11-1s, but I really like Kentucky.
Second and 26.
Will Levis, and Chris Rodriguez are probably the 2 best players in the East, in my opinion, outside of Hendon Hooker. Give me Kentucky and the Wildcats going to the SEC title, I think that's going to help them tremendously if they make that game, even if they were to get their butts kicked by Bama, because everybody gets their butts kicked by Bama.
They're still in the Peach Bowl.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, I got them.
Or is the Peach Bowl a playoff team or playoff? I don't know.
I don't know if this year, but I got them going 11-1, going to the SEC title, losing to Bama. I will say though, not only Texas A&M but Arkansas. Arkansas is a team this year that I feel like people need to look out for. We didn't talk about them much so far this show.
We haven't talked about them at all.
KJ Jefferson,
no, not at all.
KJ Jefferson was one of the best, if not a top 3 quarterback in the SEC last year.
I just don't know who he throws to.
They still got some good weapons there. I mean,
KJ Jefferson's a dual threat quarterback. I mean,
okay. Let's use that as a transition talking about Jefferson, potential Heisman contenders. Other than Bryce Young,
I got 5.
Let's hear Josh. Let's hear Josh's.
Okay, I highly doubt Bryce Young's going to repeat. So technically, I got 4. Spencer Rattler, he's been talking a lot.
We barely talked about USC.
Yeah, he's been talking a lot. He said he's learned more at USC, like USC Junior, the University of South Carolina. I can't even call it USC. There was a lawsuit. The University of South Carolina. He said he's learned more there than his entire time at Oklahoma.
Well, that just shows how
right?
That's what happens when you go and play Beamer ball, right?
Yeah, Beamer ball.
That's true. But that's also what happens when you stop being a gigantic jackass like he was at Oklahoma.
Which is a good sign that I feel like he'll be a better player. And people are talking up Will Levis. I just put him on here for gigs. I really don't think he's going to do it. Jackson Dart, if he is as good as he says he is in that system at Ole Miss, he can put out some numbers and he'll get some attention. KJ Jefferson, if he puts out, if he improves over what he did last year, which was 21 touchdowns through the air, 6 rushing, almost 700 yards rushing, led Arkansas in rushing actually. If he can do better this year than he did last year, it's going to be tough to put a bunch of people in front of him. So what do you guys think?
I'll go ahead and go. I've got a few different guys. I obviously got Will Levis on there. I also think that I can't exactly remember his name. The quarterback for Mississippi State. He started off last year really hot.
Will Rogers?
Yeah, Will Rogers. I think he could be a sleeper for Heisman.
And Leach's offense, anything can happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, the air raid's going everywhere.
I just think and I've seen stuff that Will Rogers said this second time around. This could be a second year in the air raid. It's going to be a lot better because it took him a year to kind of learn that offense. I think he's going to really take a big step this year. I think Mississippi State becomes like an 8-4, maybe 9-3 type team. And John Emery Jr. from LSU, the running back, he was a highly touted prospect just a couple years ago when they won the national championship. And he was supposed to be like the next Darius Geis, the next Leonard Fournette. Last year, he showed flashes of it where he was like a really good running back. I think he had 5 rushing touchdowns against Florida.
Wait, who was this against?
John Emery Jr. So give me him. I would say Chris Rodriguez if he wasn't suspended for a couple games. I'll just put him on there just for the hell of it. And then
Hendon Hooker.
Oh, another guy people aren't talking about. Yeah, Hendon Hooker. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers could be too, depending on how good he does it. Yes.
Ooh.
He could be.
From where?
I'm saying he's going to, but he was like probably the best tight end in college football last year.
He was definitely the
Was
best
that Georgia?
tight end in college football. Yes.
Georgia's tight end.
All right. I think it's probably Hooker, probably KJ Jefferson, and maybe Spencer Rattler are the ones that are not.
I would say KJ, but I just don't think he's going to get enough spotlight because he plays at Arkansas. If he was playing, I don't know. I mean, he had a good year. Oh, we lost Connor.
I hit the wrong thing.
I'm there now.
I meant to stop my cam, not remove myself.
I mean, look at how good Arkansas was like midway through the year before that Georgia game. Nobody was talking about KJ. Even he was putting up gaudy numbers, and nobody was talking about KJ Jefferson, early Heisman favorite. So they were. I didn't hear anybody.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that Arkansas Georgia game was so hyped up. I think game day was there. Like after Arkansas beat Texas, people started talking, and then they lost to Georgia, and everyone was just kind of, oh well, flash in the pan, Arkansas.
And they still went on to win a bunch of games.
They did.
They were still really good. But
all right, we're dragging on.
Yeah. So what's the? I guess sleeper teams and
biggest potential disappointment.
Hold on.
Did
Lucas
Connor, did you already give yours?
I said Hendon Hooker. Yeah,
okay, so yeah, Hooker's one of mine for sure. Obviously, I mean, you guys know I like Hendon Hooker a lot.
He's your favorite hooker.
My other guys, yeah, he is my favorite hooker for sure. He doesn't charge very much.
Just a couple hundred to go see him play at Neyland Stadium.
I think my
you just
sleepers
need a golf ball and some mustard.
Right. My sleepers are Jahmyr Gibbs at Bama, or I believe it's Trey Sanders. Either one of those guys, I think they're going to just absolutely dominate. They're both
Trey Sanders is from Oklahoma, right?
I don't think so. I think he was at Bama last year.
Gibbs transferred in from Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to be a stud. I think he's going to be really, really good in that offense, but they may run by committee, so he might not get the numbers. But I think he's going to be really, really good. My other guy is Devin, and I always forget how to say his name. It's like Acne or something like that. He's the running back at Texas A&M.
It's Acune.
Acune,
yeah.
Dude, quite literally, and doing some research before the show, he quite literally may be the fastest player in all of college football. He ran, I think he was clocked at like 22 miles an hour on a kickoff return last year. Like he is blazing fast. So I think that he could definitely be a sleeper with how good A&M may be next year. He'll be a guy to look out for sure. And with Isaiah Spiller gone, Devin's going to end up taking over as a starting back. So I think it'll be really good.
All right. So let's go ahead and do our biggest potential disappointments of the season based on expectations. If you want to go ahead and start us off, Josh, go ahead.
Okay.
Kentucky.
The University. Dude, if we win 9-10 games, we're okay. The University of Florida Gators, they're already disappointed. If they go 0-2,
all because they didn't get one recruit.
Yep.
No, like 4. There was like 4
yeah,
that flipped.
They lost. Yeah.
I only saw the one about
they lost
the guy that went to Miami.
So they lost 3. They lost 3 recruits that were, I believe, 4 stars that flipped. And then they had a commit that was already on the team, a running back that was a transfer from Clemson. And then he.
Oh, do you talking about DeMarcus Bowman?
I think so, yeah. And he just entered the transfer portal again.
He's going to Central Florida.
That's 4 dudes that they lost.
That's sad when DeMarcus Bowman, who was I think he was the number 1 rated running back in 2020. I think 2020, and he committed to Clemson.
Yeah,
didn't get to play much because of Travis Etienne. Transferred to Florida when Billy Napier when he transferred to Florida this year. Didn't get to run that much, and then when they hired Billy Napier, he said he talked to Billy Napier a couple of times, didn't like what he wanted to do with the program, then flips and now is committed to UCF. So
yeah. So I got Florida. I got Texas A&M going 8-4 again. That I feel like they should be disappointed.
Do they beat Bama though? Do they beat Bama?
No, it's at Bama.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if they beat Bama or not. If they go 8-4, that fan base is disappointed.
If they go 8-4 and they beat Bama,
Jimbo's gonna hold on.
If they go in 8-4 and beat Bama, I'll be happy because that'll at least make it one less chance that Bama makes the playoff.
Look, everyone's
I don't
happy
think
with
you're
Bama
disappointed
losing, but
there at 8-4. I don't think you're disappointed just because you got to give at least a year for this freshman class to get some experience. Next year,
and here's the
the
thing.
year
Here's the
after, if they go
just
8-4,
just because Texas A&M got the headline for #1 recruiting class last year does not mean anything. They've been recruiting in the top 10 for the past 7 years, and
well, that's true.
they're doing what? They're third, fourth place in the West. And it's not something that should continue. They should get better.
It's disappointing because they paid all that money for recruits, a la Nick Saban.
Yeah, and I put Alabama on here just playing second fiddle to anyone. They threw a fit when they didn't get the #1 recruiting class. That was just, I think that was Saban being upset about NIL. And then really Arkansas, if they fall
they got
off
Mercer.
again and they go back to being Arkansas, you just inflated and popped that balloon of Arkansas football being back.
Yeah.
Mine
is probably Auburn, even though they were only 6-7.
Do they really even have expectations this year, though, after losing Bo Nix?
Wait, who's their head coach? Who's their new head coach?
It's the guy. Oh, it's that guy that the students were trying to get fired after he was there for a couple of weeks.
Not basketball.
Oh, that's yeah.
Wait, they were trying to what?
You don't remember that
toxic culture in SEC coaching?
He was there for
this
Brian Harsin. He was there. He got hired, and only 2 weeks into his hiring,
that's right.
The students wanted him out, and the players said they didn't want to play for him.
Wait, let's look at her. Wait, hold up. I want to see what she looks like.
Oh, it was?
The boosters wanted him out. The boosters were funneling money, saying, "We will pay his buyout."
Good for him.
That's his wife, and I guess that's her.
Good for him.
He's probably an assistant. She's probably an assistant coach or assistant or someone that goes to the school. Damn, I went to the wrong school. I should have gone to Auburn or LSU or Bama.
Jeez.
I know a chick from my high school actually goes to Auburn currently.
Okay, so Auburn, I could see. I don't know how Penn State will be, so we'll have to see about that. LSU, I have no idea. LSU might be another one.
Did what's his nut come back, or was he a senior last year? That quarterback, the black dude, the big guy. I can't remember his name. He was a transfer from
Monday.
Oh, he was a transfer from somewhere.
Did you not hear what you just said? That sounds so bad.
I was about to say, do you have any idea how little that narrows it down in the SEC?
No,
yeah,
it does
that's
not narrow it down at all. Okay, so Georgia.
And then you got Georgia, who has a little white quarterback, which is fun.
Oh my God!
I will say
this: people don't. Tank Bigsby is one of the best running backs in the country as well. So they do have him, but that's basically the entire team.
They got at least 4, maybe 5 losses at the bare minimum. Georgia, maybe Ole Miss, Arkansas, maybe Texas A&M, and definitely Bama if it's at Bama.
Can we just
got Calzada?
Can we petition to see Tank Bigsby on the same team with that kid named Smoke at Kentucky, just so we have 2 of the
Tank Bigsby, Cavassier Smoke.
Yeah.
Let's here, Ryan, for some catharsis for you. Let's look at LSU schedule because we didn't talk about.
Because Brian Kelly won't shut up about Notre Dame, even though it's been like months since he left.
Okay, Florida State
loss.
No,
I don't care how bad Florida State is. Loss.
Hey,
everyone else. What do you say?
Can I clear something up real quick?
What?
The big black guy I was talking about was TJ Finley. So.
Yes.
Oh, the quarterback.
I remember him.
Yeah. He's 6'7", 250. That guy's giant.
Oh, he's huge.
Okay, Ryan, take away your hatred towards Brian Kelly, okay? Because you are incapable of thinking clearly at times. So
no, it's not even. I don't even have hatred towards the guy. I'm glad he's gone. I just have hatred towards the fact that every time he's on LSU Sports Radio, he's not asked about Notre Dame football and has to give his opinion on it.
Why would they ask him about Notre Dame football?
That's what I'm saying. He brings
It's
it up
LSU
himself.
though.
It brings it up. He
Okay.
was on, but anyway,
Okay.
he said.
Okay.
So let me go ahead. So Florida State loss. So Southern Jaguars still win that game. Mississippi State loss. They'll beat New Mexico. Okay.
At Auburn,
They'll beat Auburn just because Auburn's bad right now.
3-2.
They'll get blown out by Tennessee.
Dude, you guys are sleeping on Auburn. They got good. They got 4 solid quarterbacks.
Okay, just because Lucas said that they lose to Auburn, so he's 2-4.
Yes.
2-4
At Florida, 3-4 because Florida's a dumpster fire.
Yes. Okay, so they go to Ole Miss. Gets blown out
3-5.
again. Blown out again. 3-5. They go to Alabama. Gets the doors blown off of them again. So it's 3-6. They lose to Arkansas. So
do they beat UAB? 4-8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, that'd be 4-7 at that point, I think. Yeah, 4-7. Then they lose to Texas, so 4-8 his first year at LSU.
Yeah, you're wilding.
No.
That's some sour grapes right there.
Okay, I see that they could potentially be 3-1, maybe even 4-0, headed to Auburn.
Dude, they're going to a bowl game.
No, they're not. I will
Yes, they
guarantee
are.
they will not make a bowl game.
Oh, we have a
7-5,
bet.
8-4.
Let's have a bet. Let's have a bet right here.
I will literally bet if I will bet right now if yeah, shake on it.
Wait. What's okay?
Wait, hold on.
Bowl game.
This will be the punishment.
Oh, this is
I will
for a
bet
bowl
right now.
game?
Yeah, so
I'm taking bowl
Literally,
game all day.
if
LSU's
LSU makes a bowl game, I will go buy a personalized hat that says "I love Brian Kelly."
Oh,
I'll pay for it. You don't even have to buy it. I'll pay for it. You just gotta wear it.
And I will wear it.
And if
I will
somehow,
wear it.
and if somehow you are correct, Ryan, and LSU doesn't make a bowl game, okay, 5-7, and they make a bowl. Do we still count that?
No, 6-6 or better.
6-6 and better, and they have to make a bowl. Okay.
Yeah.
What is?
And none of that. If they go 5-7 and they need somebody.
No,
to
that's
fill
what.
it. Okay.
That's what we're saying.
Anyway.
They have to go 6-6.
Tax
If they don't make a bowl game, Lucas has to wear a Notre Dame shirt that says Notre Dame is an elite football program and is better.
why
than
can't I
Oregon.
just wear like a Notre Dame jersey? No, better yet, it should just go the other way around where I have to wear a Mario Cristobal hat or like a Miami hat.
Yes. You have to get a Miami. You have to get a Miami hat, or saying something. Mario Cristobal is a good head coach, or something. Go Canes.
Okay.
Jalen
Okay.
Rashada.
Wait. So we're not doing this on money though, because I'm not gonna pay you and buy a freaking hat.
No.
No.
It's just the hat.
It's straight up.
Just the hats.
Okay.
That's fair.
So LSU has to go 6-6 or better to make a bowl game for Lucas to lose. They have to go 5-7, and they make a bowl does not count for Ryan.
You can't.
and Lucas
You're not
wins.
bowl eligible unless you win 6 games.
Unless they fill in, unless it's a fill in, you know what I mean? Somehow.
I said bowl game. So if they make a bowl game, that's
what I'm saying.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
Not how that works.
Yes,
No,
it
we're
is.
not
That's not Florida State.
No, come
We're
on.
not having that thing where Florida State has to
No,
play
we're counting. We're
cupcake.
saying anything 5-7. If it's 5-7 and below, and they are.
Yes, Connor, you're right. If it is 5-7 or below, then Ryan wins. If it's 6-6
6
or
and 6
better,
or
I
above.
win.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
So the real line is not bowl game. The real line is 500.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they could go.
If they don't go,
500.
if they don't go 500, then Brian Kelly's probably fired before the end.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
love
could
that.
I could see them being 3-1, 4-0 headed to Auburn. That could be they could be 5-0 playing Tennessee, maybe even 4-1.
I think Brian Kelly can keep his job at LSU for at least 2 years. They'll put up with it.
If you think about it this way, though.
His
Think about
first year
Brian
at
Kelly
Notre
at
Dame.
Notre Dame.
His first year at Notre Dame, he went 6-6. I'll give him that. So,
and he hasn't had very many bad seasons at Notre Dame.
They
This
had
is
one year that was like
LSU.
4-8.
Lucas,
He had, like,
and you
one-
get
much-
and you get
Lucas,
you
this
get
is
better
LSU.
talent in
Think about
LSU.
it. Think about it. This is Oh, really? We have the number 1 and number 2 recruiting classes in the country the next 2 years.
It's still better talent.
But
dude.
anyway.
LSU. How
Anyway,
many
It might not
championships
remind
does
you
Notre
it's
Dame
two.
have in this century?
anyway, BK is going to LSU, where there's going to be a hell of a lot more pressure than he thought there was pressure at Notre Dame. Notre Dame fans were happy with a 10-win season. LSU fans have a national championship and they weren't happy. So
yeah.
So-
I did
Well,
like
and
that.
they
also-
were happy with the
he's
national
a-
championship. They weren't happy with the
he's
5
a
and
guy.
7.
He's a guy that doesn't like to recruit in an area where and in a conference where you have to recruit to stay competitive.
But it's also a team where you don't have to recruit as the head coach.
Nobody's
You
going
think
to want to go to
Bama-
LSU
You
when they
think
can go to
Bama's
Bama.
driving to California to get Bryce Young? No.
Or Bama, or that Saban's going out to California to get Bryce Young.
You don't
No.
think Saban flew out to go see Bryce Young?
Absolutely not.
I think
guarantee
Nick
you,
Saban
maybe
made a
Zoom.
phone call.
Maybe
Maybe
he made
Zoom.
a
I
phone
think he
call
made
or
a phone
Zoom.
call.
And
And they
did
came
a Zoom
running.
or a phone call. That's it.
I'm just saying. Brian Kelly wants to say that you can't recruit at a high level at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman got the number 1 and number 2 recruiting class in the country.
Okay, shut
So
up about
suck
it.
Suck it. BK?
I think you're going to be very disappointed when you're going to be wearing a Brian Kelly hat towards the end of the year.
I don't think I will be.
Okay.
So here's the funny thing too
Time to
is
move
once
on.
they win their 6th game,
You
you're
have to wear
getting
it.
that hat.
How about this?
You're not
We're
waiting
making-
until the
we're-
end of the year.
We're making
No,
you
I'm-
wear it every single show for the rest of the season once they get their 6th win.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm completely fine with that.
Okay.
Same
That's
thing
fair.
with
Same
Lucas.
thing,
If
Luke.
they can't,
Same thing,
If-
Lucas. If they once they lose their 7th game, you'd have to wear that hat every single week.
That's
after
fine.
that.
That's
For the
fine.
rest of their season, including postseason, for the show.
That's fine. Hopefully
Excellent.
Miami sucks. It'll make me feel better.
Other band,
But my biggest disappointment is probably I'm gonna say it's probably just Georgia not winning the East.
yeah.
Because I think everything is gonna kind of work out the way that it's supposed to, honestly.
it's gonna go mostly
I
chalk.
think-
Besides that,
I think other than I don't think anything is really gonna be disappointed other than I just think that Georgia doesn't win the East.
So my biggest potential
John-
disappointment is going to be go ahead and be Texas A&M as well. I think that a lot of people are expecting them to be really good just because of that number 1 recruiting class. So give me
That's
Texas A&M.
ironic.
Josh,
That's ironic as hell.
What did you say? What did you say for yours again?
Hey,
Oh,
to be
for
fair,
mine?
to be fair, I did say that even though we have the top 2 recruiting classes back-to-back years for 2023 and 24, we would not win a natty with that class until either 24 or 25. So I'm giving
knows
us a
it's
couple
just-
years. I'm
He
giving
knows
us a
they can
couple years.
decommit, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
They
He doesn't
decommitting.
understand. He
You
doesn't
don't-
understand
okay.
that.
Marcus
It's true.
Freeman hasn't had a decommitment yet, baby. So
Yes, he
quit-
has. You
Yeah,
showed us in the chat.
Oh, 1?
It was like
Okay.
4.
And he went to
Anyways.
Florida.
Yeah. Oh gosh, guys.
Okay, Josh. Here's your biggest disappointment again. I think you already mentioned it, but it's been 20
Yeah,
minutes
I went
since we got
first.
on
I
the
said
topic,
A&M going 8-4. They do need to take that next step and start competing for the West. Beating Bama once in a blue moon is not going to keep that fan base happy, especially when they've been recruiting as well as they have.
Okay, and I guess we'll go to biggest surprise. I think
Go ahead, Josh.
Josh.
Okay.
Okay. You
and-
can't.
And to be
It can't be
to-
Kentucky.
To
It's not
be-
going to
That's
be
not really-
Kentucky.
no,
Not
no,
gonna be
no.
that as big of a surprise because they had.
And I
they
think we
had
need
10
to come
wins
out with
last
some
year,
rules with this. Biggest surprise, maybe not a team that like is competing for an SEC title, but a team that like maybe was like 4-8 last year that goes to like 6-6 or 7, kind of
They're-
like that, like somebody that they're not expecting.
I
to
got
be
you.
better.
Ryan,
I got you.
Ryan, there literally was only one team that was worse than 6 and 7 last year, and that was Vanderbilt. The worst teams.
No,
in-
I know.
in
I'm
both
just saying,
divisions
like
were
for
6 and
instance,
7.
like Arkansas would have been one for last year because
I got you.
Arkansas has been.
Yeah,
I got you.
mediocre and-
Okay. My biggest surprise, it's going to be South Carolina.
Okay.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be kind of out of nowhere. It'll be a little bit like Arkansas was last year, but they're going to be good enough to win games that last year and the year before that you wouldn't even consider. And then,
Do you think they break the streak of beating the Tigers?
I think it'll be a closer game than people want it to be.
Well,
Whether that means they
Well,
get
that
a win,
depends.
where
Is
they've never
DJ
won
still the
before.
starter?
if DJ's
DJ
the
is-
starter, I'd give him a much better chance, honestly.
He won't be. Cade will.
Probably.
But it's South Carolina, and I can get into just real quick. There's I mentioned it before. There's this sort of weird cabal in the SEC East where each team that's not Georgia is expected to beat each other. Like at South Carolina,
it's almost like the
you
ACC
expect to be-
Coastal Division, where they beat up each other every year, and then you have a different winner for 7 straight years.
something
Kinda
like
like that.
that. It's except you have something at the top. So South Carolina expects to beat Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida every year. Florida expects to beat Kentucky, Tennessee, and South Carolina every year. Missouri pops in for a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, we're good. We beat South Carolina and we beat Florida," but they lose to Tennessee and Kentucky. It's really just kind of a weird, just a mashup of we expect to beat each other every year. And
I see.
Okay.
Looking at the schedule, I see 8-4 or 7-5, depending on where the Clemson game goes. To me,
all right.
Because I could see Arkansas, Georgia, maybe Kentucky, and Tennessee and Clemson as potential losses.
So that's 7-5.
Yeah.
That's
depends
kind of
on
what they were last year.
Well, actually, I think that's me giving them a loss at Kentucky or a win at
Wait a
Kentucky.
minute,
Think about it.
Is
That's
South
a win at
Carolina,
Kentucky.
is
Right,
South
right.
Carolina
So,
State that
win.
school that had a 40-year-old as the play on their team?
I think so.
He was a grad.
Yeah.
He was a grad assistant.
Yes, he was a grad assistant.
Okay. Okay. Win, loss.
I think they
win,
might win that game.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Fine. We'll get.
You don't like Arkansas?
It depends how good Spencer Rattler is.
Yes.
I just think they
Well,
could.
at
I think they could
Arkansas?
pull that game out.
That's gonna on the road.
Arkansas,
know.
it's not like they're not Oregon, they're not Florida. They don't have
last
crazy.
year, Josh,
home field
attest to
advantage.
this. Last year, Arkansas home games were freaking nuts.
They were.
Those were.
Yeah, but it's not like they have some mighty home field advantage where you don't like Clemson.
Their
where you-
fans
which
are
is
nuts.
why I think that
Lucas,
Clemson
I don't
wins
think
that
you
game.
understand. Arkansas fans are crazy.
Arkansas
team is
fans
good-
wanted Arkansas football back so bad that when Sam Pittman won his first 2 games, that stadium was packed.
Yeah,
they
I
wanted to be good so bad, and when
mean,
they beat
just-
Texas, you couldn't
Think,
there wasn't a happier group of people on the planet.
I mean, Lucas, think about it. Their fan base is so nuts and is so smart and so into football. They made this.
Texas is back, folks.
Not this time. You're wrong.
We're back.
No, we got you.
When Texas wins tonight
No way.
against the mighty SEC,
No way.
Texas is back.
This one was invented by a writer.
Oh, the return. I love it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Chills, guys. Chills.
Win. So we got win, maybe a win, loss, or win, loss to Kentucky. So 3-2 going into
I haven't met-
3-3 or
4-2.
4-2 potentially. Texas A&M 5-2.
They've
I
never
think they
beaten
win
Texas
that.
A&M.
I think they win that. I do.
They win that. Missouri
They-
6-2.
You
Hey,
got a
hey,
historic season right now because they've never
Or-
beaten Texas
See, you
A&M.
guys are
That's
too
okay.
high. You guys are too high on South
Last
Carolina. I'm
year,
just saying.
Oregon was 0-10 against Ohio State, and they won that game. So I believe in miracles, man.
Well,
Gotcha.
I mean, the only
you-
thing that's helping them is it's at home. So fine, we'll give them that.
So
loss.
if you believe in miracles, Lucas, do you believe in Notre Dame beating Ohio State?
no,
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I mean, realistically, I could see them beating Ohio State in that game, but then Ohio State is going to get pissed and win the rest of their games and probably win the
Destroy
national
the Big
championship.
Ten.
And then Notre Dame will probably go undefeated and have to play Ohio State in the and then
And get beat by 40.
yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so let's continue through it. They beat A&M. They beat Missouri.
6-2, 7-2 versus Vanderbilt.
8-2.
Probably.
Yeah.
You haven't been
Wow.
Who they
Florida.
got out there at Florida?
For
Has
sure.
Florida given up at this point? Because they would have.
Florida might have given up at this
Yes.
point, based on what we're thinking. Do we say 8-3 for Tennessee potentially?
I think they lose. to
They
Tennessee,
lose
yeah.
to Tennessee.
I have Tennessee going 12-0, so I think they win it. I think they run the table.
You have them going 12-0.
12-0, baby.
You're insane.
Run the table.
Not even
Oh man,
Alabama.
Hooker ain't that good,
Run
buddy.
the table.
Not even.
He's taking
Not
a
even-
step back. I promise.
Run it.
Josh, I don't think-
Okay,
is
So we
running
got what?
running the
We
show.
got 8-4, maybe 9-3 as the ceiling for South Carolina.
Tennessee.
Imagine
Which is
that's the
insane.
game. Wait,
Go to Tennessee.
Imagine
Go to
that's-
Tennessee's
Imagine this is the game. Wait, stay on South Carolina. Imagine that's the game that breaks the streak for Clemson.
Oh God, you know how
Oh,
mad Andrew
dude.
would be.
Connor would jump
and
off
that-
a bridge.
That's why it would be
or not
such
Connor, Andrew would.
an immense surprise.
I mean, what's the streak at? Like a decade?
30
or more?
something, 36.
Are
I
we
think.
gonna? Are we?
Here's
Wait,
the thing: they got all the
Clemson's- wait.
pieces.
Oh, Clemson home losses or something, or home wins?
Home wins is at like 36 or 34 or something like that.
So if Clemson loses, we're getting Andrew on the show, right? Let's talk about his depression.
I'd feel.
If he hasn't jumped off the bridge yet,
Yeah, somehow we have to get him back in, but I don't think I think he honestly we would never hear from him again, which we honestly don't ever hear from him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Why
Okay.
we wouldn't hear from him ever again because of the South Carolina beating Clemson?
Tennessee
Yeah,
runs
probably.
the table.
oh gosh,
Oh God!
Okay, Ball State at
Tennessee runs
Pitt,
table.
Akron, Florida.
they lose to Pitt for no good reason.
So
That's
Lucas
probably
has
gonna
them
happen.
beating Bama. So Lucas has them beating Bama.
Look, no,
Run it.
that's not as crazy as it sounds.
Run
He
it.
has them winning at Georgia.
Run it.
I gotta look this up. When was the last time Bama?
It's
lost to
at
Tennessee?
Neyland. It's at Neyland, and the last
Run it.
time they played, it was a game for a little bit.
Yeah, until it was like ended up being like 56 to like 17 or something like
Oh,
that.
here we go.
In Neyland, yeah.
Here we go. Fifth
Run
last
it.
lost
52-24. Is that last
Run
year?
Tennessee
it.
versus Bama. Okay, wait.
Don't care.
Wait.
What was the
Okay,
last
wait,
time
wait.
in Neyland?
Don't care.
Oh
that's a good
my
point.
God.
Let me go back.
And
Let me go
isn't
back.
it? Don't the fans like whoever wins that game? Don't the winning fans after that game smoke cigars? Isn't that like a known?
Wait,
thing?
at Bama?
Last time it was at home. Go up.
at
Go up, Connor.
Tennessee.
Last time at Tennessee, 2006.
No,
No,
2016.
they do a home and
No,
home.
2020.
Every year.
2020. They
Did we-
got blown out.
Yeah, it was 20. It had to be.
To be
2020.
fair, though, that was one of the best college football teams of all time. That 2020 Bama team was insane. They weren't.
That
losing
2020 Bama team got beat by LSU.
any- What?
That was the
What?
year LSU won the Natty.
That's 19.
2019.
Oh,
LSU
never
went
mind.
19. Yeah.
So
LSU
the last
was
time
buzzsaw
Tennessee
that-
beat them
that year.
at home was 2006, but the game's it's at home, so it's 2006. And that's also the last time they
The
won.
last time they beat them, but what was the last time they played? What was the score? Did we already have that up?
48 to 17.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't close.
Not here you go, 2021. There you go, 52-24.
Don't care.
Which actually, if I remember correctly, it was much closer because it was. I think at one point it was like 30. It was
If
like,
you go up,
within
you
a
can see the
touchdown.
box
Wait,
score.
so Lucas, are we able to just
Yeah,
like, are
look
we
at that.
gonna-
I mean, look at that. Look at that. Bama scored
Can-
28 in the fourth quarter, so it was much closer.
Can we like
Yeah.
video this just so we know for the season?
This is
that Lucas-
on. It's recorded.
I know. I'm saying like
What's
just
wrong
so
with
we
you?
have this, we can play this on a show. If
Oops.
Lucas says, "Well, Tennessee's going,"
So,
undefeated.
Lucas, is that your biggest
Go ahead.
surprise? Or
That would be very much a big,
Yeah.
big surprise. Wait.
that would be an insane. I'll tell you what. Tennessee fans, who are already the worst fan base in the
they
SEC,
are.
They are so, and it's because they're rude. They are so
They are
rude.
very rude.
They throw stuff on the field. They did
You know
it
what?
at the baseball game.
So
They're-
this is
baseball,
Georgia. Last
they're-
time we lost to Tennessee was 2016
John,
at home.
they've been
Yeah.
so irrelevant with football that they got
Oh,
upset
no
when
way.
Notre Dame beat them in a baseball series.
Hey, they have a more recent
lost to
championship than
Georgia
Notre
State.
Dame.
I understand that, but their
Tough.
fan base talks so much crap for a fan
Well,
base.
it's because they
Their
remember
first matchup
they
was
remember Peyton Manning.
0-5. Their first matchup was 0-5, and then 5-0, then a tie.
Okay,
Nice.
John, this
look
is
at
also
the dates.
1903.
It's just
Helmet
weird.
Hey, look,
National.
1909,
3-0.
3-0.
Wait, when did they
7-3.
kick field? Did they kick a field goal and have a safety? Is that how they
Probably.
did that?
Yeah.
No,
So
because
look-
like
look at this.
touchdowns used to not be worth
So-
6. They used to be worth 5.
Well, really? I never knew
Really?
that.
Yes.
So look at this. So the last time Georgia lost to Tennessee was at home. That was the Dobbins Hail Mary play at the end of the game.
Was that
Yep.
what was it? How was it? Juwan
Juwan
Jennings.
Jennings.
There we go.
Juwan Jennings. And then what's his name? The head coach for Tennessee is crying on the field.
It was
or
Bruce
whatever.
Pearl, I think, or not Bruce Pearl.
No.
It's basketball.
Bruce something.
It was something.
Hold on. Does
Butch
everyone
Jones?
remember a couple years ago when they couldn't give the Tennessee coaching job away?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, they were trying.
Like, did I?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Can we
Hey,
just
Heupel's a good
that
coach,
was-
man.
That was Pruitt.
Lucas,
That was Pruitt, right?
Lucas,
That was Pruitt. Yeah.
Lucas, you know what? Tennessee fans would love you for saying they're going to go undefeated and beat Bama this year.
Number
Heupel's a
one,
good
number
coach.
one college football podcast in the state of Tennessee after that statement.
they
They want it so bad.
Yes, sir.
They want it so bad.
Dude,
Lucas,
we're gonna get so many fans.
Lucas, I want you to go. I want you to go on your Twitter, and I want you to make a post
To
saying
my
that you think
2 followers.
who cares?
Like,
It'll get
No,
reached.
no, 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 no.
Go
All you got to do is put hashtag Tennessee Vols football, and everybody, all the Tennessee fans will just come
Do
look at it.
go on to 24/7 Sports, like send it into like Josh Pate for his like crazy takes. What you would put money on?
I don't know if I'm confident enough to put money on it. But
Okay, but I think
okay.
it's definitely
So-
a big surprise. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I think that's it.
Oh, I didn't go.
Connor, you didn't
Oh,
do
okay.
it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan's been talking the most of all of us, so we don't need
Sorry.
to hear his opinion about anything.
Oh, okay.
Not kidding.
But no, I'm gonna go ahead. My biggest surprise is gonna be I think it's gonna be Arkansas. I think that they are gonna be really competitive. I think they win 10 games this year. I think they finish. I can honestly see them finishing second in the West. I know that's high praise. I know that's high praise, as A&M and Auburn and all of them are still there. But for right now, woe pig suey. I mean, who doesn't like seeing the Hogs be good at football?
Anyone that hates the Cowboys because of Jerry Jones, because he's an Arkansas fan, or he's an Arkansas alum.
He gets enough punishment with the Cowboys sucking. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah, punishment.
But I think
my arsehole.
But that's about
He
it,
makes
guys.
money.
I think is there anything else we can add to push this to 2 hours? I have no idea at this
No,
point.
I think the SEC is pretty.
Well,
I think it's pretty straightforward. We all agree that Bama's going to win the SEC. I think it's pretty easy to understand that. Do we
Okay.
see? Here's a question though: do we see 2 SEC teams being able to be in
well, let's go ahead and do this.
college
Lucas,
football playoff?
You have Tennessee making the SEC title, right? And you have them going undefeated.
Yep.
And I have Kentucky. Let's put it this there, because it'd probably be yes if it was Georgia. But if it's Kentucky and Tennessee, and they go 11-1 or 12-0 into that SEC title, and they lose to Alabama,
No.
do they both?
Depends
get in?
on what happens throughout
Do
the
they
rest
both
of
get
the
in?
country.
Yeah.
With
Depends
how it
on
was
what's
last
going
year.
on throughout the rest of the
Okay.
country.
If Kentucky is 11-1, that second loss pretty much eliminates them. Unfortunately, they're not because they're not Bama. So
If ten-
Unless
they go-
at the
if-
time they're like the number 2 team, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the other teams aren't that
and then the
great,
team,
and
the
then
team
they
behind
drop
loses.
to 4.
But I'm
Josh
saying,
is
like,
like he's being too. Josh is being too realistic here.
Let me tell you
you gotta let
something.
the fantasy take over, dude.
Kentucky can score 60 points a game, beat everyone's brakes off, go to the SEC championship, beat Alabama by 20 points, and they still won't be top 3. I guarantee you.
All you got to be is top 4. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I know, but they still won't be top 3, and people will be like, should we put an 11-1 Notre Dame in instead of that Kentucky team?
I think
That's
so.
12-0.
Like,
Probably.
right?
Let me say this, and this is if you guys are the committee. Kentucky goes 12-0, or 11-1. One loss to Tennessee, and say Tennessee finishes 10-2 or 9-3, and they're top 25 in the country. They lose to Alabama, who is just to say they're undefeated and they're the number 1 team in the country, and it's a close game.
Josh wants them to win.
Does Kentucky?
I want them to win, but they're not going to do it.
Do you have a reason to put Kentucky in?
It doesn't matter.
It's
It doesn't
2
matter
losses.
because the only thing that matters is what happens in the rest of the country. So if you have a 3-loss Pac-12 winner, you have a 3-loss ACC winner, a 3-loss
like a
Big
2-loss,
12 winner.
That's
Oh,
not
11
gonna happen.
Notre Dame.
Then maybe you can do that. But if you have a 1-loss Pac-12 winner, a 1-loss Big 12 winner, and then a 1-loss Big 10 winner or an undefeated one, then you can't put a 2-loss team in there.
Even if they love the SEC that much, because didn't
But
Bama?
the only way.
Why would they ever put Kentucky in?
Bama,
there?
they put Bama in, who had
I
2
know, yeah.
losses.
Because
doesn't
it's
matter.
Alabama. But here's the thing. The only
I'm
way
just saying
Kentucky,
they put a 2-loss Bama team in over a 1-loss Penn State Big Ten Big Ten championship team.
what
That's
year
all
was
I'm
that?
saying.
What year
That
was
was-
this?
It was 2015 or 2016. It was the year Penn State played USC in the Rose Bowl. And a
Okay.
lot of
They
people thought
put
Penn
a
State.
what in?
They put a
They put a-
2-loss Alabama team over a Penn State team that beat Ohio State.
I don't think there's ever been a 2-loss team in the playoff.
Yeah, that was the year. Alabama had 2 losses.
Oh, no,
I will say this.
No,
Yeah,
they only
Kentucky-
had 1 loss in 16.
Or
A
was
two-
it 15?
A
No, not
2-loss.
15. No.
I'll say this: a
Since it's
2-loss
national champs.
Kentucky doesn't even
That's
sniff
the
the playoff. We'd be lucky to be top 10.
no. There's not been a 2-lot.
There's never been a 2-loss.
I swore there was somebody.
No. There was that was Bama.
What was the year the argument was made that Penn State didn't get in and Alabama did? Or was it Penn State or Ohio? That's what it was.
Alabama's 1 loss was probably. And I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's what it was. Penn State won the Big Ten and had 2 losses, but they put a 1-loss Ohio State in over Penn State, even though Penn State
that's
was
what it
the Big Ten
I didn't like
champions,
that.
and Penn
Oh,
State
yeah.
beat Ohio State head to head.
When was
And they
that?
still
was
put
that-
a
Was that when Penn State blocks the field goal and returned it
Yeah,
back
it's for-
touchdown
for-
to
yeah.
win the game?
I feel like that was.
Oh, that's it.
Wasn't that the first college football playoff when
No.
Ohio State won?
No, I
No.
think it was the second
No.
one. It was the second one. The first one was when Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech early and still made the playoff and
At
made the
home.
Natty.
Was that
Yeah.
Team that went
19?
6-6.
Huh?
Was that 19 or was that 18?
What?
That was either
2018.
17 or 18.
I
and
just
then 17
remember
or
because a
18.
lot of people were mad that Penn State got snubbed. Because
Had
they
to be
won the Big Ten.
17 then because 18 Penn State went to the Citrus Bowl.
I think
And
it
I
was
don't think they would
2017.
send. Yeah, I don't think they
But
would
I
send.
remember a lot of people were mad and saying the only reason Ohio State got in is because their name was Ohio State, and they went 11-1. Didn't even play in the Big Ten title. But
Yeah,
lost head to
I
head.
remember that. But yeah, a 2-loss Kentucky team would be lucky to be in the top 10.
What about a 1-loss? Like if they go in there
A
12-0?
1-loss Kentucky team still doesn't make it in over 1-loss Ohio State or.
But if that was
1-loss
Georgia, Georgia would make it if they were a 1-loss.
Yeah.
Georgia.
So
Yes, that matters.
Yeah.
Ryan, it was the
16 season.
it was the 2016 season, the 2017 playoff, where Ohio State went 11-1 and Penn State finished 10-2 but then they won the Big Ten.
Big Ten championship.
Yeah. Yep.
That was the season I think that Penn State started off slow. I think they started the year 1-2, and then just went on a crazy hot streak. And just
they went on a tear and they were beating everybody. They just weren't blowing people's doors off. I believe they were beating them by like 14 or 10 or a couple one-score games. Yeah, it wasn't.
But I know a lot of people were mad about that game because it's like head-to-head didn't matter. It was
they beat Ohio State at Ohio State that year.
Well, and Clemson beat the brakes off of Ohio State in
that year. That was the year Clemson won 38-0, right? I'm pretty sure. Or 31-0.
Okay, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, we're good. We're getting to 2 hours, guys.
I do want to say one last thing because this was big news that we didn't get to talk about in our last show. Thoughts on Arch Manning going to Texas over Alabama?
He's going to transfer out within a year if Quinn Ewers does really well this year.
I'm saying, do you guys think that this takes Texas to a new level? Do you think this takes them to national?
I think the rest of their recruits do. They got Kelvin Banks. They got like all these. They just got Jonte Cook, who is a 5-star wide receiver because of Arch going there. I think Arch's commitment, without him even playing, made a huge impact on that school already and their recruiting.
And
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Connor.
I think it just all depends what happens with, like I said, Quinn Ewers. If he is able to kind of take the reins as the starter this year, what happens to him, and then what happens to Arch afterwards? Because you don't want, because you have Arch coming in, he's the number one recruit in the entire country, and you don't want to have to sit him. So what happens at that point?
Do you think that he starts?
No, he's not. I don't think unless yours really craps to the bed this year, I don't think Arch will start at all next year as a freshman. He'll sit and they'll just redshirt him, which might hurt.
Well, and what I think is funny is that nobody is even like considering Hudson Card or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, he was like a highly recruited quarterback that was there last year.
He's only a sophomore.
He lost his job. I think he was a 5-star, and I think he lost his job to Casey Thompson last year.
Yeah, but he was a freshman last year, so like he's still.
They started him week one. They started him week one, and then they benched him because he played bad against Louisiana, and Casey Thompson was their quarterback the rest of the season.
Yes,
and his last name's not Manning.
His name's not Manning.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't think Manning's gonna be that good because he played basically Bishop Sycamore every single week. So
he played in a private high school league, so it wasn't even like
they weren't good. And also, you're not going to be the coach that
was even his team not that good as well.
They lost like every year in the first round of the playoffs. When you look at a guy like Quinn Ewers, he won a Texas State championship at the highest level,
the highest class.
Yeah, so like
that's impressive. Yeah,
it's super impressive. I think he's gonna be really good. I don't know why he left Ohio State. I think it's just because Stroud they're not gonna.
Well, he's not. He wasn't gonna start this year at all, and Stroud. Well,
are you guys kind of surprised that Arch Manning went to Texas instead of kind of like his SEC roots with?
Well, I don't think there was any chance he was gonna go to Ole Miss or to Tennessee anyway. Because he wants to probably take his own path. He didn't want to.
And Texas was the best way for him to get the most amount of money.
Exactly. But I think he just
But what about Alabama and Georgia? I mean, like,
oh yeah.
He's not good, dude.
No, I heard something that Saban said when he found out that Arch was going to Texas, that it was kind of a win-win for Arch and for Alabama, because he said that, we wanted Arch Manning. We would have loved to have him. It would have been a big distraction for the football team having a Manning and having all that pressure on the kid being at Alabama. And it said it would have caused a big thing because the family would have been involved. Because I guess Peyton, Eli, and Cooper are all in kind of the coach's ears and everything, which I didn't think they'd be like that. But I guess
maybe Peyton, but geez, not.
I mean, why wouldn't there be? There isn't a coach in college football that has accomplished what Eli and Peyton have done in their lives. So,
being a good quarterback does not make you a good coach.
I mean, do you think it
True.
Do you think that it?
However, I've listened to Tony Romo call out every single play in an NFL game. So
people wouldn't like that. I love it.
No, I love that too.
I love it too.
I love them. I mean,
it's absolutely hilarious.
Do you think it was kind of a move because Sarkisian's probably on the hot seat right now after last year losing to Kansas? I mean,
You think?
He lost to Kansas, who won 2 games.
Well, I'm saying
Obviously.
like you would think so, but
Yeah.
I mean it is Texas. Who knows?
But I
There's-
think, do you think that?
yeah.
I mean,
Do you think
Texas
it was
held too long onto Willie Taggart? So
Do you think it was kind of a move?
No, Charlie
where-
Strong. Sorry.
I was
Charlie
like,
Strong.
Do you think it was kind of a move?
I get them
where,
mixed up. I get those two mixed up too often.
Do you guys think it was a move where Peyton, Eli, and kind of Arch too looked at Bama and they looked at Georgia and they seen Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, 2 coaches who aren't going to
No.
let them sit in their ear and kind of like, hey, you should start Arch.
No. I think
I don't think so.
Do you
I
think
don't-
that they
I
took
mean,
advantage
either
of?
way-
Do you think they took advantage of like, hey, Sarkisian's on the hot seat. He's got to kind of do whatever he can to stay at Texas. If he got Arch Manning, Texas fans love Sarkisian now. Like, do you think it was kind of like, and we can manipulate this guy to make him put Arch out on the field his freshman year?
But let me tell you why no 5-star quarterback should ever commit to the University of Georgia. It's because no matter how good you are, no matter how well you do in practice, no matter what, as soon as you get injured, they're going to find some kid bagging groceries at Kroger, and they're going to start him in front of you.
You're gonna get
I mean,
Kirk.
yeah.
You're gonna get
And
Kirk
then
pretty much at Georgia.
And then when you blow out teams like Vanderbilt, they're going to bring you in and they're going to let you hand the ball off.
I mean,
Well,
if you
that's
look
what
at a
they
guy
did
like
to
JT
JT Daniels.
Daniels. JT
well, you
Daniels
look at a guy
didn't-
like JT Daniels, you look at a guy like Jake Fromm. Like Fromm he was not good. He was not good
No.
in college. He handed the ball off a lot to Sony Michel and
Nick Chubb.
When you have running
Yeah.
backs like that,
Chubb.
though, come on.
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
why would you, if you want to make your career be, something, you're not going to go to a school where you're just going to
Well,
have.
look at
Now,
what
to be
That's my
fair,
argument.
Look at what happened when they had Justin Fields. They pissed Justin Fields off so much that after one season he transferred to Ohio State. Was he not
where'd
the
he go?
better? Was he
Oh,
not?
yeah,
he
the
was
better,
at Georgia. I always forget he was at
was
Georgia.
he not the better
Jeez.
quarterback than Jake Fromm? But Kirby
Oh,
Smart,
definitely.
Kirby Smart loved Jake Fromm so much and was so stubborn that he didn't give
Jake
Justin
Fromm,
Fields a
State
chance.
Farm.
And it's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
the same
There's a
thing.
lot of there's a lot of stuff that we don't see behind the scenes in practice and whatnot. So maybe Jake Fromm was a better practice quarterback, and that's just how. I mean, Jake Fromm brought him to a national title. So Justin Fields.
I know, but Justin
he did that
Fields is-
once with Ohio State too.
So-
but
So
apples
we
and
can look at
oranges type
this.
deal.
We can look at this a couple different ways. We can say the stars don't mean much, which they don't. It's just a rating of how good they were in high school and what they might do. But I don't
I
know
think
why.
they mean more when it comes to offensive and defensive line.
Yeah, it means more, especially when there's size. Size
Yeah.
matters, speed matters.
Size gets you a
Everything
whole
else is-
star by itself. If you're 6'7", 250, you're going to get a star right there, no matter how
I don't
big you
care. I don't care how hard you practice somebody. They're not going to go from 5'11" to 6'4".
are. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
yeah.
Not
There's
unless
that.
they have a miraculous growth spurt.
This is the bottom line
This
this is the bottom line question before we get out of here. This commitment, along with the other commitments that Texas has had, just since Arch Manning is committed, they've had a slew of commitments. And I think they went from number 9 for 2023, and now they're up to number 3 behind Notre Dame and Ohio State. Do you think this means that Texas is back?
You got to wait until they play, but I do think so. Arch Manning committing to Texas, it's a branding thing, and it's about building something. So you look at a guy like these Alabama quarterbacks. When's the last Alabama quarterback that's even been good? Was it back in the
you mean in the NFL?
Yeah, in the NFL.
AJ
in his
McCarron?
career.
I mean,
No,
AJ
'cause he wasn't
McCarron-
good.
No,
I know,
And
but
then
he was an
Tua
NFL
Tua
quarterback.
is
I mean,
terrible.
I mean,
Tua's
Mac Jones.
terrible.
I mean, you could argue Mac Jones, but that's only after one
Maybe.
season. But But at the very best, he was average.
He almost. I mean, he got outplayed by Davis Mills, in my opinion.
He got played.
I still want. I'm giving Tua the benefit of the doubt for now, but
I still think to this day, no matter what anybody says, that Mac Jones did win Alabama that natty. It was Devontae Smith that carried Mac Jones to that natty.
I think.
I mean, dog, when he had 200
Najee
yards,
was really good. But
Good
it's
Lord.
the branding, dude. That's all it is. Texas is when
2
Texas
hour
is
mark.
good. When Texas is good,
We got 30 minutes.
college
30
football's
seconds.
good, man.
Yeah. The biggest news that happened this week that nobody talked about, and we didn't talk about it at all. Ohio State trademarked the
Got
word
the
They got the
God.
the Ohio State.
trademarked the word the.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
okay, yeah, I think that's
No,
what
no.
we can.
Hey, okay, it's not. They don't have obviously automatic control over that. It's literally just for merch. That's it.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
got the.
It's
got
ridiculous.
The Ohio
though.
State.
Yes.
All right, boys. We're gonna
You gonna take us out, Connor?
Yeah, let's wrap
Yeah.
this up.
take
We're
us
gonna
out.
wrap
Connor.
this up. We didn't. We're not. I'm too.
Make
tired
sure
to
you do the W really quick. The W, like Lucas
Yep.
says.
Oh yeah,
Lucas,
shout out
wait.
W. We don't gotta say too much. Shout out W. It's great energy powder. It's way better than drinking regular energy drinks. I think I don't like carbonation as much, so I drink this stuff a lot with water. It keeps you more hydrated, I think. And also, if you're trying to lose some weight, like I am, carbonation is really bad for you. So drink W. It's really good. And
You can't see it, but
Lucas
I
puts
got
it in his alcohol.
that's it.
Lucas
That's
puts
it.
it in his alcohol. go to w.gg and use the
Use code
code
week0.
week0
All
to
caps.
get 10% off. I love how we're saying this when there's no one watching the show.
Well, they'll go back and watch
There
it.
you
That's okay.
go.
It's part of the
We'll
recording.
get
It's
our
all right.
play.
It's always fun to go back and see. I have 70 something views on him. Like, where are all these people coming?
They
All these
watch a
people
lot of
coming-
our people. A lot of
They
our
come in
viewers watch
afterwards.
it after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my friend, that guy Tim that drops in from time to time. He's like, yeah, I'm too busy sometimes. Like the timing just doesn't work. But he's like, yeah, I'll just come in and watch the whole thing afterwards. I'm like, sweet, cool.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
So,
Take us out, Connor.
so for Lucas, my favorite hooker is Hendon Hooker.
Go UT.
Go UT.
12-0, baby.
For our special guest, Josh Bryant, or East or Bust Bryant, excuse me.
There you go.
For Ryan, 0 Dark 12 Fravel. I am Connor. Pac-12 is going Dark Doherty. And this has been the Week 0 podcast. We will see you next
Or
week.
our group 5. Yeah, group.
We'll
of
do
5
Group
show.
5
Slash
and then-
Notre Dame. Slash
Notre Dame. We will mention that. And then we also have, I think the show after that, we will have a very special guest after that.
And
We have that confirmed,
Yes, we
right?
will.
We have that confirmed this time, not Scott, right?
Not Scott.
I believe so.
Not
It
I
is.
Scott.
believe we
The
have
group
it
of 5
confirmed.
show. We do have a special guest as well.
Okay.
Oh,
All right,
Oh,
guys.
wait.
yes, for 3
Oh,
weeks.
wait. Is it it's not your friend, is it? Or is it somebody else?
Why don't,
It
are
is.
we getting Cam on for that show? I was gonna ask you if we were getting
Yes,
him on
sir.
for that show.
Yes, we are.
Heck yeah! All right.
We're getting
Excited
Cam.
for
Let's
that.
go.
Let's
I
do
hope
it.
I hope
Let's
we get
go.
some good people. Let's go. And then from there we'll try and get Frank.
Yeah, it's
From there.
been a process. I haven't even heard back from his agent yet.
Oh,
so.
goodness.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
All right,
y'all
we'll
never
see you
gonna
guys
have me
later.
on. This is a 2-hour show.
I mean, dude, you
It
were
was
on the
a
show
fun
for
one.
you were on the show for the draft show, right? So you were
Oh,
on there
God,
for
that was like 4.5 hours.
Oh
Dude, that was so much
God.
fun.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
So
fun
much
one.
though.
It was nuts. It was really fun.
All right, sign out, Connor.
I'm
Let's
just
do it.
sad, Lucas, that you left right before the Titans traded AJ Brown, so we didn't get to see you in action live. Because I
Yeah.
swear,
I'm about to
I
leave
think-
right now. Turn it off.
Okay,
All right.
we'll see you guys
Bye,
next
y'all.
week.